Ule. If we ever get a sequel to Ass Libra, I want SSH to just do the entire soundtrack. Because they have a couple of his songs in Ass Libra. And it might diminish from the charm of almost all the music, I think, being just taken from publicly available libraries and sources and such. And on the other hand, it would fucking rule. They did that for an old MMO, Valkyrie Sky, that got SSH to do. I don't know if he did all the soundtrack or just some of it, but they got someone with chops in the video game shoot 'em up remix scene to do, you know, OST, which was really cool. It's a shame the game didn't do very well though. It's such a wild idea for an MMO, like, because a shoot 'em up with co-op, like, you can play with other people as well. But I feel like it probably would have run into the issue had it gone on for a super long time where bosses just become damage sponges and the solution is either, you know, grind to shoot 'em up. Because there was, like, gear and stuff in the game. Grind them to shoot 'em up, or, you know, more likely the real solution would have been spend money in the cash shop. Buy the premium status, it lets you double your experience gain, or double your loot drops, or whatever. Anyways, today we're going to do some Castlevania. We're in a little Area of Sorrow day today. I've got a fan running in the background because it's getting very hot. If it's too loud, if you like, I don't think you should hear it too much, but if it does, you know, noticeably mess things up, let me know. I'm not, like, blasting it into the mic or anything, but I try not to run fans when I'm streaming, because it is bad. There we go. Unpause game. Ule. Alright. Let's see how long it takes us to get a Black Panther this time. What are we starting with? Werewolf. Not a soul I use that much. Right, don't you have to be... Yeah, you have to be on the ground, too. It's kind of awkward. Yabatsugunda. Thank you for the funny number 77! 77! That's the funny number, right?
77.
What's that? I think I saw a map up there. Flame necklace. I was talking about it the other day, but man, the demos. So for people who aren't familiar with stream like review keys and such, when you get a request, like when you get a key for, you know, Keymailer or any other kind of review key site, the general expectation is that if you do accept the key, you are expected to create content of some sort, either a stream or an article, depending on if you're like a news site, or a review, if you do reviews on YouTube or whatever. You have to make something about it. It is not like a hard requirement, but it is good practice because they do track like what games you have covered versus which games you've requested keys for. And so if publishers notice that you are requesting a ton of keys and getting granted a bunch of keys and then not actually doing anything about them, it is much less likely that you will receive review keys in the future, because they do, like, kind of keep a score, so to speak. Ooh. So, the big issue is that recently there has been a massive upsurge in the amount of keys for demos being offered, and normally demos are not significantly different in any way from, like, the ones that you could just download on Steam directly. Oftentimes, the demo will already be publicly available when they send you a demo key request, so, like, you're asking me to be on the hook to create content for your game for something that is freely available to anyone. You are offering me effectively less than nothing because I can just download the demo and just play it at my own leisure anyways and not be on the hook to, you know, affect my content score. And so sometimes, like, they'll try and do something like, oh, you get access to it a day or two earlier, but, like, you gotta do better than that. I'm genuinely not trying to be an asshole. Like, I understand how difficult it is to get the word about your game out. I understand how hard it is. There are so many games coming out. But, like, if you can't even offer, like, the bare minimum, a copy of the game, like, bare, absolute, baseline standard, if you can't do that, then, like, what exactly are you hoping to get out of me? Because I got one the other day that was my least favorite variant of this, where it's not just that you get offered a demo key, it's that you get offered a demo key with a chance, a very nebulously worded chance to receive a full copy of the game on launch. And, like, this has problems for a number of different reasons. First of all, there is absolutely no structure in place to do this through Keymailer. Like, there is nothing that says, you know, if they say this, they have to give you a key. Like, they can certainly say it, it would be best practice for them to do it. But there is no guarantee, and there is no penalty for them not doing it. So there's that problem with the maybe wording. At the very least, if they do say, you know, oh, we will give you a full key on launch when you cover the demo, that at least then you can drag them if they don't fulfill their end of the promise, you know? But then with Might, it's like, okay, maybe you'll get one. Maybe if we like your metrics. Maybe if you sold a copy for us or something, but otherwise there is no guarantee that you're going to get that. But then on top of that, again, like, you are on the hook if you accept that key to do it. And thankfully, like, they cannot just drop an unsolicited key in your inbox and be like, ah, you've been assigned this key, so you have to cover it now. Like, thankfully you can refuse them, which I do a lot of the time. You can refuse these. But, like, it's so insulting, like, as somebody who is already doing you a favor, basically, by covering your game which they wouldn't have done otherwise if you offer a key to them, it's kind of insulting to be telling people who are covering your game for free, like a freely available demo that everybody has access to tell them, oh yeah, no, we don't value your time that much. Like, bare minimum. Pro tip for any publishers or developers wanting to get the word out about their game, you are not required to offer review copies of the game. I do not expect a review copy of a game. I am not owed that. I fully understand that. But at the very least, like, treat people, if they are going to cover your thing, like, give them something for their trouble. Because it's less insulting to just have a request go into the ether and just, like, sit on unread forever than to be told, oh, maybe we'll give you a copy. Maybe we'll give you one. Because I imagine they probably get a lot of, like, you know, really starry-eyed, maybe streamers who are just starting off, who don't have a big audience, be like, oh man, I got a copy, I got offered a review key for a video game. And it's like, technically, you got offered a copy of a game, but it's a very nebulous copy. Like, at least offer it through a sponsorship deal where if they cover your demo, you will give them a portion of money based on the viewership they get. At the very least, do that. But for something like that where you might get, where they say you may get a copy of the full game, that's worth less than nothing. That is not worth your time. I really hope they put in an option on Keymailer and all that stuff to just say, I'm not interested in demos. If it's a demo key for a game, I don't want it. Like, no shade against anybody who has demos for a game, but, like, I don't want to be on the hook to create content for a publicly available demo. Sorry. That's the real gun or the fake gun? Or the stinky gun, I should say. But yeah, that's my recent gripe. Just there is no shortage of new games to check out, and if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna try and be like, we're gonna give you nothing for it, probably not gonna play it. I'll probably just check out one of the other 10 billion games coming out. There's been no shortage of cool stuff coming out, just even in the past month. Black Panther, please? That's not Black Panther. I'm also dog-sitting this week, so you might hear a little bark in the background. I promise you that's not me doing a bit. Death! Oh boy! I have no shortage of games to play now. I really need to work on the backlog. Like, I want to finish all the games that I've been streaming, because they've all been pretty cool. Like, I want to finish Luna Abyss, I want to finish Monster Crown, I want to finish Emirom. I think I am finally finished with, like, the storyline for Lens Night Sky. The Toho roguelike that I streamed the one time. That one wasn't like a review copy of a game, that's just a game that I think is really fucking cool, and I think y'all should play. It's got a few, like... It's got some parts, especially in, like, the final boss sequence, that can be a little messy, like, sometimes there are weird bugs that can happen. But overall, I think it's a really fun game. And it's one of the rare instances where I think, like, in a shoot 'em up, the story is really, really cool. Because I love me some shoot 'em ups, but the storyline in general tends to be more of a backseat, like more of a framing device to explain why you are shooting a billion dudes with a little ship or whatever. Gotta remember, I'm not playing on wizard mode, I gotta get all these hearts. Probably should actually slap on flying armor. A little bit of extra uppities. I might also fire up FF12 at some point and kind of reorient myself, because it's been a hot minute since I played that, and I do want to continue that, but I don't just want to jump right back in on stream and try to be like, okay, where the hell was I? What was I doing? Violence! Right, I can backdash cancel now. Oh, Gladiator's so good. I know Gladiator can actually hit the roof here. Might be able to hit it with Werewolf, actually. I think that might be high enough. I'm still only using the basic knife. A little stinky. Yeah, I think Werewolf might be high enough to tap the ceiling. Perfect. Meat! God, I love physics-enabled attacks. Apropos of nothing, I randomly remembered an old mod that I played on Half-Life 2, like, God, must have been 20 years ago now, S-Mod. I'm kind of curious how much of a nightmare that would be to get working on, like, modern Source Engine. Because this would have been, like, shortly after release. I want to say it was even, like, pre-Gary's mod. It had, like, the Mighty Foot from Duke Nukem. It had, like, a magic wand that shot these bolts that bounce around everywhere. To give you an example of how old it had a reference, like, there was a UMD launcher, which was a reference to, like, the first model of PSP, that apparently would just eject the UMDs if you held it at, like, a specific angle or you, like, pressed a button a certain way. I'm also kind of morbidly curious. I don't know if I'm going to, but I'm very, 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 very curious about, like, what PSO2 NGS looks like now, and to preempt the complaining, I'm not going to be interacting with the AI bullshit. That does not need to exist in the game. That should not exist in the game. Take that shit out. But, like, I'm kind of curious, because I feel like myself and a lot of people have been pretty down on NGS, but I do at least want to give it one more shake. Like, one more honest to God, real college try. To see if it is at all worth playing in this day and age, or if it's just they're strictly, you know, out for money and nothing else. The game itself is not going to be worth it, so I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna be honest, after the AI thing, it does not look good. I've seen people try to defend it, be like, "Oh no, they're just testing stuff out. They're just testing the waters." Like, it's 2026. I feel like the average gamer is pretty upfront about their stance on, like, how they feel about AI trying to take over actual, you know, character writing and asset creation for their favorite games. Like, I'm sure there are still a handful of people who don't give a shit, and maybe that's who they're trying to go for, who they're trying to court. Ooh, lubricant. Go, go, go. Yeah, they're just building a little Torment Nexus. It's not the full one. It said don't build the Torment Nexus. It didn't say build a smaller one. It didn't say build a Torment Nexus. But then on you know, that note, should I even give the game the time of day if they're gonna do that shit? I've been heavily soured, like, even on just, you know, little bits. Maybe they use a tiny bit of AI and placeholder stuff, and weird, that's the stuff that keeps getting left in the game. I slide now. So at this point, I cannot in good faith engage with a game that's like, oh yeah, we used AI, but the final output is all made by humans. Like, I don't believe you for 1 second. Also, yeah, play Tsukahami, I forgot to say earlier. Yo, you gotta play this visual novel, it's crazy, it's called Tsukahami. Damn, I nailed that shit. Oh, devil. I actually use that for the great armor. Have they announced, like, the new type Lumina? Is that gonna be, like, a totally standalone thing? Is that gonna be an expansion for the existing one? Is it just gonna be, like, they're adding DLC characters and stuff? Because, like, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I'm waiting on Satsuki. I'm waiting to do the anti-air super. I'm waiting to do the legendary grab. I want to dare the other player to even think about jumping and then just fucking deny their existence for doing so. I want the new generation of fighting game players to experience the terror of the hand grasping the heavens, or whatever it's called. For people who aren't familiar, there's a character in the old Melty Blood games called Satsuki, and she has a super which allows you to grab anybody in the air, basically. Like, the hitbox is actually stupid. And I believe it's unblockable. Like, if you're in the air and she uses the super, you just hold that. You have chosen to jump in on Satsuki while she had meter, like raw, without any kind of defense. You die. Because it's not just like, you know, it's an effective attack, but also, it allows you to combo off of it. You can combo off of the anti-air grab, and it's a very good grab. Ule is the noise that Julius makes when he does his dive kick. Ule, 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 ule. That. Bit of a meme if you play Arya. I keep getting cursed. I keep getting cursed. I want to get back into fighting games. It's just... I gotta start from zero. I've not played fighting games in so long, like at a competitive level. Not a you know what I mean. Like, actually against other people, trying to, like, properly play instead of just kind of noodling around. Oh, ULE, no. No, thankfully. Castlevania is currently free from AI, although, Lord knows. I would not put it past companies to just decide, we're gonna take that franchise now, actually. Hey chat, what's your favorite franchise as a child? Because we're gonna ruin it. Actually, those are decently better than what I got. I need a weapon. I'm still using the basic knife. You always start with a knife in this randomizer. It doesn't change your starting weapon. It just gives you a random soul. And I would really appreciate one. I might be able to buy one from Hammer, actually. We've got some weapon drops, or money drops. See if he's got any good weapons. I think gold plate is stronger. Oh yeah. I'll double my defense almost for that. That's worth it. Probably should be trying to save my MP more, because I'm not playing the old randomizer that has wizard mode. Excuse me. Alright. Mana Prism. Next, then I gotta get through this dude. Actually, I can just damage tank. I'm gonna get healed in the next room anyways. What do you got? Red Minotaur. The strongest soul in the game in terms of raw damage, but the most expensive soul. Star Ocean Rune? I thought, no, Star Ocean R was really good. I thought people really enjoyed Star Ocean R, and like the most recent numbered version was also generally considered pretty solid. Or did they announce some other nonsense that I'm not aware of? Yeah, I might just buy the basic katana, because, like, there's... I'm hurting for gear right now. Nope. It's a decent weapon at the start of the game, at the very least. Can be jump cancelled. Just doesn't have any special effects like the other katanas do. Actually, I don't remember if this one can double hit. Alright, so we're gonna need... We either have to get the slide, or we're gonna have to go in through the reservoir, which we'll probably end up doing anyways, because I want to get that shortcut unlocked. Usually I have to go down there. Yeah, I don't think the katana can double hit, not the basic one at least. What am I using right now? Oh yeah, I haven't been equipping any of the accessories. Cloak is okay. Honestly, the accessories are kind of stinky in this game for the most part. Yeah, it's all more defense. That's possible. It is pretty nice taking 1 damage from enemies early on. Gold plate is a good get. Ari is fine. Not like a super exciting seed so far. We just recently got an upgrade from the basic knife, 23 minutes in. But we got Gladiator, which is always a very welcome soul to find. I love Gladiator. Especially this early when I have, like, no... Until the katana, that was, like, my damage output. That was the damage output. Satan's Ring... Freaking skull. I'm trying to do the... what's it called? The... not... Dawn of Sorrow. Oh god, what was the PS3 one again? Harmony of Despair? Yeah, Harmony of Despair. I'm trying to do the thing where you, like, double jump and quickly dive kick to go a little bit faster. Normally the Gladiator Soul is much, much later game. not as exciting looking as some of the other Souls, but it's really solid. Whew. The one downside it maybe has is that it's not elemental, so it can't hit weaknesses. I think it might count as physical damage, so like the golem enemies might just resist it. But it's a pretty limited, it's a niche case. Heart necklace? Nah. Not that I can even get it, but I wouldn't come back for that. Getting a little better at doing the career day stuff as well, like just general routing. Having less issues where I like totally forget, oh right, you can go do this fight here, and you don't need any prerequisites for it. But I think I still have a lot to go. I'd like to get good enough to do the Zelda Super Metroid combo rando as well, but that one, I feel like I don't know. Like, I know the routing for each individual game, which is combining them together is what really slows me down. I wonder if the devil might have done more damage. Might have. Should be fine with this, though. Oh great, a free katana. If I really, really, really wanted to optimize my speed, I could try and do the backdash thing where, like, you go whoosh, 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 like you constantly backdash, then turn around, jump out of it, but I'm gonna be honest, that is a nightmare to do, execution-wise. Kind of thing that gives you an RSI. I don't really want an RSI. I want to continue being able to play video games and not hurt myself. I should unlock the shortcut. Zombie officer. Apparently the new Onimusha game is a demo. I don't know if I want to try it. I like the first Onimusha. I never really... I played, I think, an hour or two of the second one. And then I never really touched 3. Or Dawn of Dreams, or I don't know if they did any other ones. People have already declared the new one Parry Slop, which, I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out. Stop doing high score runs for Star Fox. Isn't the meta for high scores in Star Fox 64 like you intentionally don't lock on to stuff unless it's absolutely necessary because you get more hits for not locking on? Suikoden and Onimusha based on name alone? They're pretty different. Yeah, you gotta hold Z and R and then it's like you're constantly micro-tapping the button to charge just enough to fire, but not enough to do, like, the full charge that slows down. Constantly having to brake, yeah. It's like you're playing Smash against a computer. I remember the Kadal is significantly stronger than Katana. Less damage, but it does hit twice, but I think Katana's just, in general, easier to use. I think there's also situations in the Star Fox, like, high score run where you have to, like... certain targets will give you additional hits even though they don't explode, so, like, you're just constantly mashing explode, like, to bomb them. Or not bomb, but, like, to charge attack them. And then you have to constantly mash on brakes, so you're not going too far by them, so you can get your goodies, and I don't know. Match punch. Match punch. To be fair, I've also never played Suikoden myself, but I've at least osmosed enough from friends and just general internet. One of them is a series where you go in feudal Japan and modern-day France, apparently. Oh, that's right, I don't have the slide. I can't get through here. One is a series where you go through feudal Japan and sometimes France and kill demons and absorb their souls, whereas the other one is a strategy RPG slash city builder where you recruit 108 different homies. Yeah, I guess we just gotta... I'll take the shortcut, I guess. I remember back in the day, there was like, basically anytime people were talking about freeware games, like people would always mention, what was it called? I think one was like called Exit Fate, and the other one was like, I don't remember the other one was called like Last Something. It was kind of like very similar to, you know, Suikoden. You recruit dudes, and there's like mini games and stuff. I wonder how those would hold up. I played one of them, I don't remember which one. Very briefly, but I never got, like, super into it. I guess we go... Yeah, I guess we go into back way through servants' quarters. I have weird gaps in, like, my video game history, I guess. Like, I didn't have a PS2 until 2008, I want to say, so... I never got into, like, you know, Jack, Ratchet and Clank, that kind of stuff. Right, I don't need to go this way. Never really got into Crash Bandicoot, because again, I was pretty late on the PlayStation bandwagon. Pyro. The ones I did get into, I wanted to catch up on the series that I'd missed by staying on Nintendo consoles, so like Final Fantasy, all that stuff, play all the RPGs that the N64 was kind of missing. Yes, I'm aware N64 had Quest 64, I'm aware it had Paper Mario, I'm aware it had Aiden Chronicles, you know, all the best RPGs of the era. Originally, I wasn't really into RPGs. The first time I played FF3/6, I kind of hated it. And then as I got a little older, I started to appreciate it more. Actually... No, I have to go from here. It's this entrance over here. Like, I never got to play PSO during its heyday. I kind of hopped in when private servers started to get popular. I remember playing PC PSO, not Blueburst. But, like, I didn't get into Disgaea again for a while, because I didn't get a PS2 until 2008. Oh, why am I fighting you? Please. Actually, can I even get down from here? I think you can swing around the right side. Yeah, you can. No. I don't know why I never got PSO on the GameCube. I guess in my mind, like, we didn't really have the setup to do the broadband adapter stuff. Like, we didn't have a cable modem hookup close to where we could play the GameCube, so... Also, probably the monthly fee would have not gone down super well with my parents at the time. I sure as hell did not have a credit card when that game came out. Will experience Fantasy Star Series is portable 2 on PSP. So the good news is that you've chosen a very good one. Portable 2 and Infinity are both fantastic. PSO, it might be a little harder to get into these days because I do think it is still legitimately a fantastic game, but it also has the caveat that I played a lot of it growing up when it was more like contemporary, let's say. So there's a lot of quality of life stuff that you take for granted in modern games that are missing from PSO. So for example, like, you can't attack while you're moving, like you were locked into place if you do an attack. Like, the closest you get to moving is, like, when you swing your sword or your daggers and it moves you forward a bit, but that's it. It's not like PSO2 where you have, like, gap closer attacks and stuff, you know? And then there's also kind of rough balance issues where some of the classes, at least in default state, have a really rough time looking at U-Force in, like, Ultimate. Like, the fan servers do a much better job of balancing things out, so they're a lot closer together. It's not like strictly forces become buffers in the endgame. They also fix issues like damage canceling. That was a big one where if two people hit the same target at the same time, basically, someone's damage just doesn't happen. Because the way the networking code works, it would just erase somebody's damage instance, which normally isn't an issue, but if you are playing, let's say, a force, and you are hitting everything on the field for, 10 damage, and meanwhile your poor hunter is trying to deal 300 damage a hit with their greatswords or whatever, you're overwriting their hit to do nothing effectively, so it's one of those problems where it's not really the player's fault, but it does suck for the harder stuff. Basically told, like, please don't even attack, please don't waste your time, So that's fixed on pretty much every fan server at this point. The cause has been identified and resolved. And then Universe has Clementine if you want to play online, which I believe also has a couple of balance tweaks here and there. It's not quite as rough as, like, vanilla PSU. Well, the thing with mech guns is that they could do shit tons of damage at the very least. Like, I think outside of doing shenanigans with, like, Berserk on, I don't know, like, Twin Daggers or something, I feel like mech guns are probably going to be your highest single-target DPS. The joy of charge mech guns. Oh yeah, no, like, mech guns in general don't do, like, a ton of damage, but... I think we go to Floating Garden next. The iron and a steel plate. I think a lot of mediocre armor. Oh wow. Vanilla Witch. Oh, that's the silver armor. Gold is still better. Because I do have the dive kick. I could get the sealing item. Oh, nice, Undone. But also, even just ignoring, like, damage canceling stuff, forces just did not really have the damage output to keep up in the endgame compared to Rangers and Hunters. Wow, a Warhammer. Great. I'm honestly kind of surprised, like, they have not, like, I understand it's very easy for me to say this, but I'm kind of surprised that, like, for how much work has gone into getting, fan servers and features and custom quests and stuff working in PSO, we still have not figured out how to do, like, fully customized levels. Like, completely unique collision sets and all that. And I'm not saying, like, oh, I'm disappointed, but it's just, it is kind of surprising. Probably one of those issues where it is just functionally you're going to have to rewrite the entire engine, and at that point it is easier to just make your own game, so maybe that's why, but... Yeah, HuCast is like, if you want the biggest numbers in the game, that's how you do it. Just, it's a little bit of a pain in the ass if you're soloing, because your only source of healing is like drain weapons and consumables. Unless you're lucky enough to have a homie to run around and heal you, drop buffs and stuff. You gotta bring your Sinnoh blades to get your on-demand resta, or not resta, shift to demand. Let's check the ceiling too while we're down here. I mean, accuracy was mostly solvable by leveling up and gear. Yeah, built-in trap vision was really nice. Androids were really good. They also had immunity to poison and one of the paralyses which were in the game, which I believe was generally only used by the lilies. The actual dangerous paralysis you were not immune to. Not that traps were, like, tremendously dangerous in base PSO. I know in some fan, like, quests and stuff, like custom quests, they have actually, like, really dangerous traps, but... Yeah, you could still get shocked. You could still get shocked, and I think stun was also on the table. Oh. There's actually a fun little trick where, with the lilies, if you do get paralyzed by them, as, like, you know, a flesh character, you simply just let them spit poison at you, because you can only be affected by one status at a time. So generally it was easier to be poisoned than it was to be shocked. You mean the caves? I don't think they were really... I don't think Lily showed up in mines. Outside of, like, custom quests, maybe. Because generally enemies in PSO stuck to their areas. Oh, traps, got you. Yeah, no, there were plenty of traps in the mines. Not really dangerous ones, though. I still love that with Blue Burst, the Gal Griffin was more dangerous the higher HP you had, because in Ultimate Mode, if you had enough defense, you wouldn't get fully knocked down by attacks. You would instead just kind of do a little hiccup for a second and then continue going, but this also turned off most of your iframes. Like, you still got a tiny bit of immunity, but you could very easily get chain killed by the tornado, so like it was actually better strategy to not cast deban during that fight. Stop on Lubricant, I guess. Oh no, I'm gonna need Undyne, I think. I've watched some of the custom, like, quest videos, some of the custom bosses that they've done for, like, private PSO servers are absolutely bonkers. Like, I watched a video of somebody soloing it, and they had... It's basically the thing where you require all the broken custom gear and shit that they put on these servers in the first place. But then it just looks like the least fun thing I can imagine, just, like, constantly getting knocked down, constantly getting, like, close to one-shot. If not just outright being one-shot. Like, I'm fine with custom servers and weird, goofy shit existing, but... You're kind of limited in how you can deal with threats in PSO, so a lot of it is just, like, you simply need to have a specific answer to a thing, you specifically need to have a specific piece of gear, or a number threshold in those kind of custom things, which I don't really like. For as cool as the Dark Falls boss fight is in PSO, I think it is probably the mechanically worst fight in the base game, because A, he spends half of the fight, like once you go to heaven, he spends half of the fight invincible. B, it's just tons and tons of unavoidable damage. And it is one of the rare instances where there's just a hard HP requirement with, like, Divine Punishment. Divine Punishment to a lesser extent grants, although you can at least mitigate that a little bit with light resist units. And then, yeah, multiplayer Dark Falls where it's like, haha, you know that thing where everybody attacks the boss together? You can't do that now, otherwise one person will die. A hunter will die on every page. And then the very first version of PSO, you dropped your weapon and money on the ground when you died. So don't bring any of your really good shit to Dark Falls if you're doing a party in randos, because there's no guarantee that sword is going to be waiting for you when you come back to it. Grab that Joyeuse, get a little bit of cash. God, released PSO was such an experience. They had, like, minus units. They had units that gave you penalties to, like, spells and stats and stuff. So, like, you could glitch your Resta to get into the negatives and kill people. So you could, in fact, player kill if you were really dedicated. And people weren't aware of how it worked. And then my favorite was the PC version of... It wasn't, like, quite fully PSO version 2, it was more like PSO 1.5. The weapon, the evil cursed one, which would just completely fuck up the graphics for every single person, every single player in the session, regardless of where they were. If you equipped it, due to the mechanics, like, it added, like, a weird trail on your attack. And, for whatever reason, it would just cause, like, everything to stop rendering outside of, like, geometry data. Probably hear my sister's dog in the background there. He's barking up a storm. And the thing is, it didn't even have to be, like, physically visible. Like, it didn't have to be in the levels itself. It could literally just be... You know, you're in the ship where there are no visible weapons equipped, and you could still equip it, and it would still fuck up the graphics for everyone. I don't remember if it was actually possible to even find that weapon legit in PC PSO. It was also still on the very noble but ignorant "we're going to trust the player" version of the server, so, like, your character file was local. So you could absolutely fuck with that. You could absolutely fuck with the character file and just cheat whatever you wanted, basically. I think my favorite about... I don't think this proceeded to, like, most of the private servers and stuff once they added the modifiers for it, but originally it was a full-screen exclusive game, which I believe was an anti-piracy measure, or not an anti-piracy, an anti-hacking measure, because they were extremely ignorant and thought, you know, if we tab out, if people tab out, we'll just close the game to prevent people from hacking. And they thought that was going to work. They truly thought. This will stop people from cheating. And it didn't. I don't remember if the War Fatigues also reduce spike damage. I don't think they do. No. Keep the gold plate on then. I think the strategy for Dark Falls, if you were playing solo and you did the Soul Steal, was just get a gush weapon, use a gush weapon when he does that stuff, because I think for the most part you would stay, like, neutral in terms of HP absorbed versus HP stolen back. But then I think the special attack did do a small amount of base damage on its own as well with the gush special, so you have to be careful. I think. Could be mistaken. Yeah, thankfully later releases of PSO did take out the dropping weapon on death thing. Dropping weapon and money. God, there's an interesting idea for a private server. Just have the old PSO 1 behavior of your weapon drops when you die. Ooh, better katana. Less damage individually, but it can multi-hit. The only problem is these guys have tremendously high defense, so the katanas are not great for them. Well, I think it was specifically... It was Chambertin, Saint Million, and Condrieu. Like, there were 3 different variants on the one boss, and I think one of them was quest only. So it was relatively easy to farm, but then, you know, you have Chambertin, Saint Million, I don't remember. I think Condrieu was the rare one. But I mean, this is PSO. This is the game with the very funny drop rate on the Psycho Wand. Which I don't think was actually... Like, there were a lot of weapons that just did not even drop. Like, the problem is, these days, a lot of our knowledge of PSO comes from private servers, like Blueburst, because... You know, you obviously cannot play the official Blueburst client anymore. It has long been dead. So, a lot of our knowledge of Blueburst now comes from private servers, like fan-run stuff, which has a lot of modifiers to stuff. So, for example, like, things we take for granted, the instance drops and stuff, that was not PSO. That was not original style PSO. When items dropped in PSO Vanilla, it was mad dash, whoever got to it first got the item. Sorry, range classes. Hope you didn't want that Barista. Any mind ups? A little bit of devil damage. Oops. Not too greedy. Gonna be dead soon. Medusa head. I kind of timed it up so I was drinking my water at the same time the HP bar was refilling. Well, no, hunters were more likely to get good drops because they would have to get up close. It was the range classes because obviously you don't want to be getting in melee range as a caster if you can help it, but... At the same time, if you want a good drop, you have to physically walk up to it. And if some ding-dong hunter's like, ooh, Psycho Wand, I could use that. God, I wonder how many friendships were killed by the drop rates on some of the stuff. Before they added the instance drop stuff to, like, PSO, to Blueburst. I remember Red Ring was originally completely unavailable. Like, it was funny because it was in Dark Falls' drop table. Like, he could, in theory, drop the Red Ring, except that Dark Falls' drop rate was set to 0%, so he could not actually physically drop items. Like, he had a drop table, he just didn't drop them. Ironically... I understand why they would probably never do it again, but I kind of unironically love the section ID stuff. It's just the problem is now, these days, it's a lot more difficult to get people together to play PSO, and just the idea of getting a random person with the ID that you need. was also very unbalanced, where, again, the drop rates, the drop tables that you see in modern-day PSO are on fan servers, which have a lot of balance tweaks to make section IDs better, because a lot of them just were straight out better than others for a lot of drops. Alright, I think it's time to go underwater. Yeah, the feeding mag part was really funny. Like, okay, I just gotta feed, you know, 30 monomates and 20 trimates and offset those with a few atomizers, and why the fuck is it a completely different form? PSO2 went for a much more, sane implementation of the concept. Then PSO2 also had the issue of just, there were 3 stats that were functionally useless, because, like, you just never wanted to put the defense stats in your mag ever. Like, Dex, I think originally Dexterity on mags was also pretty useless, but they did eventually introduce Braver and Bouncer, which was better than boosting, like, the specific stats. Like, it was functionally better if you did those. At least with the mag skills, the Braver and Bouncer mag skill. Yeah, that was the thing. If you got, like, a section ID that was better for, you know, casters, if you got a lot of wands and you were playing a robot, great. That's great for me. Horse taxi. Like, thankfully, we do still know what the, like, the base PSO, PC, and Dreamcast and all those drop rates are, because we have those, like, kind of baked in, but the Bluebird stuff, I don't know if there's any good comprehensive resource of what they were before, like, the fan servers started poking around with them. Another map, jeez. I thought Bouncer Mag was just 1-to-1. For every point, you got 1 in physical and range attack, and physical and tech. So, like, the idea was you just go full 200 in dex, because that way you got 200 in both stats as opposed to just the 1. It might have been originally, it was like a 0.5. Been a hot minute since I thought about the Braver and Bouncer Mag stats. Also, yeah, that was the other thing about PSO, is it had the gender-locked gear. Usually was not too much of a problem, but there were certain items that I think were gender-locked. I think the Rambling May, I don't remember if that was a Blueburst thing, but I think that was for ladies only. I think PSO2 did have, like, the indicator for, like, which gender could equip it, but I think that was probably just left over from earlier versions of the game. Like, they might have originally had plans to make gender-locked gear and weapons and stuff, but I think they decided against it. Oh boy, the Sherman ring. Bone. Ectoplasm. I'm just gonna say Sherman ring like the Shaman King theme song. Won't actually do that, but you can imagine it. Spirit is strong, you can be the one. You have the power to be his friend. do we got down here? Elven Cloak. Black Panther. Man, this randomizer hates dropping Black Panther. I might switch back to the old one, because, like, I don't like seeds where I don't get to go fast until the very end. I like sometimes getting a treat and getting to go fast early. I like Sonic. Well, they had the mag skins in PSO2. But yeah, PSO1, the mag appearances were also tied to their photon blasts and stuff, so you had to make sure you got what you wanted on it. I'm willing to give it a pass, though, because again, this was a game from 2000. This was a game originally designed for dial-up internet. The fact that they even had, like, a little kind of Tamagotchi mag-raising system at all was so cool for a console game. Agostia was the... That was a Blue Burst mag, yeah, that was the one that was the wings. Everybody wanted that one. Yeah, if it was an MMO in, like, the mid-2000s, everybody wanted wings. I don't know if people are still like that these days. But, like, wing cosmetics were always, like, the big shit. I think Warframe has, like, a handful of wings, but I thankfully don't see them that often, because I think most people think they look really goofy and kind of dumb. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure PSO2 and NGS have probably multiple pages of wings at this point. Aw, dang it. God, I love how far this disc goes if you follow it all the way down. I think Agostia was also, like, really solid in terms of... Because I think it got the Invincibility Photon Blast, and I think it had one of, if not the highest activation rates in the game for the Invincibility trigger, which was really strong for mags. Because in a game where taking damage is kind of a problem, being able to just not take damage for a long time or just ignore shit, it's quite strong. I don't actually have a giant bat or anything, do I? No. Ooh, Vijaya. Oh, Vijaya. Probably good. More damage, and it multi-hits as well. Plus, it's lightning elemental. I wonder if anybody could do, like, a PSO randomizer. As dumb as that might sound. Like, I know people have done some mods. I know there's the Return to Ragdoll hack for PSO GameCube. But it mostly changes some balance and adds additional things, which is cool. Yeah, no, Agostia is just you use the item, you use the Liberta Kit. Liberta Kit. Kind of wild, I still don't have a slide. Actually, we have all the books, don't we? Giant Ghost. Oh no, Balor, Creaking Skull, Skeleton Knight. We have none of these, jeez. That's surprising. It's rare to get all the books and have none of the souls. Yeah, generally, the best trigger effect was invincibility. I remember Shift and D-Band were actually bad because I think they could overwrite the good, like, the good levels of Shift and D-Band. Don't want to fight these guys. Agasti was an episode 4 mag, so it was pretty overtuned. Pretty much all the episode 4 gear was like really powerful. Like, that's where they added the Centurion battle units and stuff. They added the V101. And what if a god battle, but, like, even better? What if in a game where your attack speed is very carefully designed and balanced around 2000 standards, what if we just multiplied that by, like... How much faster did it go? Like, it was like 1.3 or 1.5 times faster? What if you just permanently had haste? What if you had haste in a game where you generally attack fairly slowly? Then they also added like the V502 and stuff, which made status effect attacks much more reliable. So like you could do stuff like Hell Needles. V101 has a 40% boost. Because I think that is the highest it goes. I think Centurion Battle is the same. It just does not give the extra stat boosts. Because on top of boosting your attack speed, it also gave you additional stats. It was just... It's basically, like, mandatory, like, end-of-game best in slot for any kind of melee user. Because it didn't affect your casting speed, there was a different unit that did that. They also had stuff like Excalibur, which was a saber weapon that hit multiple targets, but had to be unsealed. I know it's a Mimic, like, I walked into it. He should know. The chat, he doesn't know. Actually gonna slap on lubricant for a little bit of extra damage. I like to play it safe, I don't want to try and eat too many of my consumables. I don't remember, I think... Was it Heaven's Punisher that was episode 4? Because I think Heaven's Striker... Or am I thinking backwards? Was it Heaven's Striker that was episode 4? The one that shot the big Divine Punishment beams based on the current Swatcher Grant time. Which, by the way, is currently... It is currently at 7:59. 7:59 beats. In case you were wondering. There's another cool thing from PSO, just the fact that they used Swatch internet time. They just did stuff. They just did stuff because it was cool. And you know what? They were right. Show me another game that uses Swatch internet time. I'll wait. I think it was like Heaven's Striker was the one that just did beams on the specific multiplier, but otherwise did nothing else. And then Heaven's Punisher was the one that turned into an auto-lock pistol or something if it was on the off beat or the even beat, one of the beats. Like, again, I complain about a lot of the systems in PSO being, like, kind of unfriendly to the users, but at the same time, I'm giving it a pass because A, it was 2000. This was a game designed for dial-up internet, and B, it's just cool. It's just cool when they do weird stuff that may not necessarily be the most enjoyable thing from the player's perspective. But just cool things to have. Things that are fun. Yeah, I don't really have a way to get up here yet. It's kind of surprising. Might run back to Hammer and see if I can buy some healing items, honestly. Yeah, that's what it was. Auto aim heavy attack. Machi. Pretty much guaranteed we're gonna have to clear out Coliseum though. Unless I get really lucky and get all the souls behind like Legion or something, I don't know. You should have a different inventory. We killed Death. Yeah, I can buy some potions, some Raymond. I believe Celestia's here. I do have the Joyas. We could buy a little Cleave Celestia Gaming. Ramasso's also an option. How about defense? What do we got? Oh, right. Heaven Striker was the one you needed the Striker unit mag, or the accessory. I remember now. I think I had the Heaven Striker. I didn't have the Heaven Punisher, though. Yeah, I think I might just buy the Cleave Celestia. Flame Solace. Oh no, sorry, you're right, it was a mag, it was a mag. Buy some ramen. I might try and just cap out on ramen, because I would like to have a full stock of healing items. Probably not going to use the War Fatigues or anything, unless we find something better than Gold Plate, that's going to be what we stick with. It's Satan's Ring too. So I think I had a Garuda, so I just figured, you know what, I'll just use the Striker unit. Grab a few Lotkins as well. That was the thing, like it had Resta, but I just really wanted to do the beams. I just liked beams. You were not using Striker unit for its abilities, you were using it because you really wanted beams. Yeah, I'd probably go back down to Underwater. Like, every now and then I get the idea that, you know, I'll stream some PSO, but the problem is that it's very, like, it's a very passive game. And, like, starting from the beginning means you're pretty much always going to be doing, like, 3 or 4 runs through Forest. Like, even with accelerated experience, it's still, you know, you're going to be doing the Forest runs. It's not... Once you've played a bunch of the game, you've seen Forest approximately a billion times. And then Fantasy Star Portable, like Infinity, I've streamed that before, I've streamed the English patch, but it also has the problem of there's a lot of story, which is... it's okay. But then there's also the issue of, you go through the episode 1 story, or you go to episode 2, and you have zero context onto, you know, who these people are, why is Shizuru cool with us now? Why is Hyuga back? Do you even know who Hyuga is if you haven't played PSU? Because Portable 2 and Infinity are based off of the Phantasy Star universe. So there's some characters that come back from that game, and it is, like, the combat is based off of Universe, but it's really good. Like, I highly recommend. It's also super easy to emulate, because it's a PSP game. I believe they also have 60 FPS patches for it, and like there's widescreen support and stuff, and I believe there's also an option for the camera stick patch, so you can just tilt the camera with your right stick on a controller rather than the PS or the PSP's singular analog stick. Honestly, I think that is probably a better starting point for if you want someone to play like the classic series. I would probably say Portable 2. Portable 2 Infinity is the way to go. Like, the motion, like, moving around, it's still not quite as fluid as it is in, you know, PSO2 and all that. But you have a lot more freedom of movement compared to, you know, PSO1. Like, you can lock on and orbit around enemies and stuff. You can have, like, one hand with a pistol, the other hand with a sword. And he has a pair of items that change Heaven Punisher Mille Marteau to always aim or always beam. Neat. Whoa, man. Cool background. In the not too distant future. Oh wait, no, that's Legion, not MST3K logo. How could you remove the beat time detail? How could you do that? Why would you do that, Heaven's Punisher? Apologize. Was Mille Marteau one of the women-only weapons? I know Rambling May was. I don't think Mille Marteau was, though. Oh, actually, that's weird. It's been a while since I did that. If you kill Legion without killing all the parts first, you don't actually get the soul. Which usually is just a failsafe soul to prevent you from soft-locking down here. But sometimes it could be something nice like Black Panther. I believe that it is considered a mobility soul for the purpose of escaping certain areas. Gorgon. Missing Fist. The other problem with PSO is, like, a lot of the items are very, very low drop rates. Very low drop rates off of enemies that are either rare variants or a goddamn nightmare to fight. Like, I pity anybody who has to farm zoos. I hate like, it's a little easier if you have Gifoe, if you have a way to cast Gifoe, because that interrupts their really obnoxious charge attack. There's the slide. Shows. There's a private server that I played on which had the Gravedigger, which was like, I believe it was a spread needle with increased range and also had the Devil Special rather than the Paralyze. And it was also considerably stronger, too. That server had all kinds of busted shit. I need to check it out again, see if they have any new funny stuff. God, is all the items gonna be on top floor, I wonder? I love watching the wheel just slowly turn back and donk him. Dabo. Yeah, a lot of the really good Episode 4 stuff was, like, either rare enemies only, or, like, a tremendously low drop trend. I think it was, like, Excalibur drops from Dorphin to Claire. Which Dorphins are already a massive pain in the ass to fight. But then you have to specifically get the rare variant of Dorphin, so... I also hated fighting those, Wait, no, I'm thinking of Geertablulu. Geertablulu was, like, one of the worst things to fight. Episode 4 had so many, like, extremely dangerous enemies because they knew that if it was just gonna be another Booma reskin, people were just gonna stunlock that shit or just instant kill. Geertablulu sounds like a broken swing set and is gonna kill you for daring to exist in the same room. Ule. I don't think we have any of the souls we need yet. Actually, don't I have Killer Mantle? I do. I can at least one-shot the red Minotaurs. Good way to get... If you want to grind experience, just go back in this hallway, equip the Ernie Soul, and grind Killer Mantles over and over. Okay, there's Skeleton Knight. There's one of the three we need. I never did finish the achievement set for this game. I kind of want to, but a lot of it is just filling out the rare drop items. I also don't remember if the Lame d'Argent was for every section ID, if it was just for specific ones. It probably is a deal where if it's not the specific one, you get a different item. But let's be honest, you want Excal. Excal is a fantastic weapon. Only 5 IDs. That was the other thing, like, you could invest so much time to a character and then find out, like, oh, it doesn't drop the things that I actually want. Great. Actually, jump up here? Is this... Oh no, I have Giant Bat now, don't I? Yeah, we have Giant Bat. Like, just imagine putting in all the time and effort into, you know, getting your character up to, like, level 100 and then finally breaking into episode 4 and realizing, oh, I can't actually get the items that I want. Like, I appreciate it from a standpoint of kind of getting you to make new characters and such, or, like, have friends who have the section IDs that you would want to play with. But yeah, I could definitely see why people today would not want to deal with that shit. Yeah, how many fake Agitos were there? I do legitimately kind of love the idea of the weapon series that are mostly just knockoffs because there was just a flood of interest in it. And so you have to do the sword dad thing of actually sorting through the pile of shitty mall katanas to find the actual good one. Because the thing is, all the Agito, like, weapon types, they were usable. Like, they were... It's not like an Excalibur deal where it was just completely and utterly trash. But unless, like, you were very, very in-depth into it or you had a guide handy, you just would not know. Yeah, no, PSO2 didn't have any unsealable weapons. They got rid of that. Portable 2 still had some of the unsealable stuff, though. What if I just... There were actually some really goofy things you could do with the unsealable weapons in Portable 2 Infinity. Because I know there were some that were like password-only weapons, like there were passwords that were meant to be printed in like game magazines and stuff, but obviously since this was the internet, everybody would just post them everywhere. And they were good weapons, like, for starting off, but they kind of fell off as you got better stuff, but that's fine. But then there was a trick where there was a function called extend codes in Portable 2 Infinity where, or I guess extend codes in base Portable 2, and then they added Infinity extend codes in Infinity, which made them even stronger. So the idea was that you would unseal the weapon, and rather than, you know, just keep it as is, you would extend it after unsealing it. And you would oftentimes end up with, like, close to endgame capable stuff by doing this. Like, it probably was not going to be as good as the 16-star weapons, but I had like a little pipeline set up where I would start with, I think, the base set of Sprite Twins, which were these sabers that had really low accuracy but could multi-hit. So the idea was you'd use the reincarnation feature in that game to boost your accuracy high enough to counteract the accuracy penalty, and then just simply use those for a bit, you know, go do Grawl Heroes or whatever, get 60 levels in a mission, and then switch over to the unsealed version, which had a higher base level requirement, but then you could use them. And yeah, the Famitsu Dendo Blade was another one. I'm gonna go get my magic back and save real quick. Hey, I wanted to save. Portable 2 Infinity was so good. I don't think it's ever gonna happen, but I would love to see like a modernized version with, you know, maybe some more stuff. I wouldn't say no, but also just like easy net play, proper matchmaking, proper anti-cheat. Because the thing I loved about Portable 2 Infinity was that the base game was really good too, but the online stuff was a little more limited when compared to, you know, Universe and PSO vanilla style, because it was on the PSP, it was a bit of a underpowered system, so they couldn't have the full visual lobby, they couldn't have, you know, people just chilling between games. It was all menu-based and room-based, so you lost a little bit of that interaction, but then in Infinity, they figured out a way to get lobbies. Like actual lobbies where you could just walk around and chill and join sessions, and that was really cool. Like, you still had the local Wi-Fi stuff as well, obviously, because, you know, the PSP had local Wi-Fi. But that was so cool that they had that. And it was on PSN, and they did not charge you for it. There was no monthly charge. It was one of the first, like, truly free PSO games once you bought it. Possibly the only one, actually, because, like, regular PSO and Blueburst, those were all monthly fees. Universe had a monthly fee to play online. Like, you could still play offline, but I think Portable 2 was the first one to be freely online until they shut it down, basically. How are we doing on souls, actually? Because we need Balor, we need Creaking Skull, we need Skeleton Knight. We have Skeleton Knight. We have Creaking Skull, so we just need Balor. Oh no, you're correct, I forgot Phantasy Star 0. 0 was fine. I didn't like it as much, though. It did what it did for its platform very well, like it was a decent little pint-sized PSO, I guess if you want to call it that, but it definitely felt like weaker for the online stuff and just general implementation of its systems compared to Portable. It was the first time they did dodge rolling, which was cool. Like, there was a little bit mobility. It was after PSU release, so it wasn't quite like full PSO classic. It had like a little bit more mobility, but it just felt kind of anemic, like, I don't know. Most of the endgame was the Mother, the Heaven's Tower, which, oh boy, I have complaints about the Heaven's Tower. Mostly the fact that why is there no fucking suspend function in the Heaven's Tower in the 100th floor super dungeon? Why did they be like, nah, we're not going to let you use a suspend save or anything like that? Although it did have the stylus. It did have, like, the free drawing symbol chat stuff, which was cool. The problem is... yeah, like, you're locked in. I think I did it once, and that's only because I used the sleep function for the DS. Because, again, you could not save. Like, you could put your DS in the sleep mode, but you had to make sure you were keeping that shit charged, because if the power ran out, well, there's your run. I wonder if there's, like, a speed run for the Heaven's Tower. Anybody is, like, bothered to get the best time on that. It's gotta be, like, minimum 5 hours, I would say. Like, I don't hate the idea of, like, a 100th floor post-game thing as long as it is, you know, playable by human beings who can sleep. Because with the DS sleep mode, again, you are relying on the battery to not die. Batteries run down over time. Batteries don't hold charges as well over time. Also, if you wanted to do that, that meant that every other game on your DS was held hostage by PS0, because you can't switch the game cartridge, otherwise it's gone. The DS original did not have a suspend feature. You couldn't switch software, you were locked in. Actually, I guess I could just go down straight from here. Because yeah, this is the straight-up you don't get a checkpoint version of the 100 Trials. You're locked in, gamer. This entrance instead. Go to top floor. Should be good on healing. I have my... hurry, I've got my lock kiss. I think I did... I want to say I did the Super Paper Mario Pit of 100 Trials a single time, back when I still had patience for that kind of shit. Sorry, the Pit of 200 Trials, because there's another Pit of 100 Trials that unlocks in the flip side version. Do you have to do the second one twice? If you did, I would not remember. I probably blocked it out of my memories. But yeah, that was when I was still firmly in my, oh, I got 100% every game. I have more free time than I know what to do with period of my life. Yeah, you're not legally cleared for Mario. Fine, I don't want that Bident anyways. Wouldn't mind finding, like, a Cowbold or Final Sword or something. Assassin is fine, but it's not. Leaf Salish will handle every situation with the exception of one. Actually, what is this drop off? I wonder if it might be better just try and farm it. Giant Ghosts. I don't think it's like a super rare soul drop or anything. Giant Ghosts, but I also don't really want to go all the way back to Cathedral just to get that. Yeah, the emulator, as long as you're not playing on hardcore, you can just, you know, save state or whatever. I probably just would not even bother fucking with that achievement. Unless I was a real big Super Paper Mario head. I thought it was okay. Like, I didn't hate it as much as some people did, but I can see why people, you know, who were big Paper Mario heads may not have enjoyed it. just, yeah, I don't see myself ever going back to do the hits of 100 trials. Rune Ring's actually good. Rune Ring, I think, is probably like the best non, you know, Chaos Ring accessory in the game. There we go, there's Blur. How even does, like, the triple point stuff work for retro achievements? Is that, like, a limited time thing? Is that a FOMO deal? If you don't clear it during the 3 times points event, you just never get your triple times points for Paper Mario ever? I know people fucking hate the hamster wheel bit, where, like, I think it was, you do have to run the hamster wheel for a bit, and then the idea is that you find out a way to actually escape instead of just grinding hamster wheel points. But I think a lot of people didn't quite pick up on that and thought they were actually expected to grind out however many hamster dollars they need. Also a tremendously easy game, my god. That was the other thing I remember. Like, I think Bowser just trivialized every boss fight if he could hit with his fire. Alright, so it was the lower freaking skull, Elton Knight. Roll events are permanent. Yeah, I remember, like, there's the Samurai stuff, which was, you know, kind of a baby pit of 100 trials, pit of 30 trials, or however much it was. Overall, I thought it wasn't bad. It also gave us that evergreen line. I love going on message boards and complaining about games that I've never played. We might not have message boards anymore, but the spirit remains the same. Man spoke truth. What I got you gotta do? I mean, I cannot think of anybody I know that has used a GameFAQs message board, or even Steam message boards are, like, useless. Like, just the absolute dumbest discussions I could imagine on the rare times that I end up on a Steam message board when I'm trying to look up an issue or something. Vanilla? No, wow. Like, thankfully all the old guides from when GameFAQs was still kind of the place to go for guides and stuff, thankfully those are still there for the most part. But there's definitely, like, people have shifted more to just pumping Wikidot, or not Wikidot, fandom wikis full of ads, hiding all the information there, getting your email newsletter sign up, because of course you gotta drive engagement. I can't just read a fucking article, it has to pop up things for more engagement. My pet peeve is when it's like, oh, somebody links an article, and then you click the article and like, oh, you need to subscribe, you need to pay money to continue reading. Like, why the fuck would you link this to me? Why would you do this to me specifically? But I can't believe I'm using Giant Bat to go a little bit faster. Probably just gonna have to use Vijaya for the Julius fight. Oh, I know sometimes you can turn off JavaScript or use, like, some extensions or whatever. But, I just really... If I'm reading an article, and they let me read part of it, and then stop me halfway through and be like, whoa there, partner, you need to pay money to continue reading, I'll just say, I won't continue reading then. You have lost me from your website forever. Just ask me up front if you want me to pay. Don't try and do the haha, we got you. Yeah, any multi-hit weapon is better for the Wrecking Ball's Cleave's leash only hits once. It is quite the hit, but it is only one hit. Like, I cannot tell you how obnoxious it is to try to be reading something and then you just get locked out. Because, like, you have my attention already. You have successfully gotten me to go to your website. Do you think that stopping me and basically pointing a gun at my head and saying, yep, sure would be a shame if you couldn't read that article anymore unless you pay some money. I mean, that's great that they put it in so it gets indexed by search engines. My point is, I fucking hate it. It turns me off so quickly from a website or publication when they do that shit. Who's Burt Gang swing again? Well, I could use Burt Gang, actually. That might be better. Oh yeah, no, for sure. Like, it sucks, but I don't care if it might increase their metrics. It just completely and utterly kills my interest in anything they have to say. Actually, I should be using souls here. Try might be better. What damage is that? 45, actually. That's pretty good. Burt Gang is stronger individual hits, but only hits once. Come on, Julia, say the line. Beautiful. Like, I'm not saying writers don't deserve to be paid for their work or anything. If you want to have a subscription-only website, that's totally fine. You are absolutely within your right to do that. Just, like, tell me up front if you want money for it. There he is. He said it. Slow. Foolish Ule. Tremendously foolish Ule there, my friend. Ah, only 2 hits. Excuse me, is there an orange Julius here? No, but I'll sell you mine. It's almost half full. Well, why don't I go drink out a toilet? He'll be back. Alright, I don't need this anymore. We have the sword. One thing I notice is, like, when I stream, I tend to start shifting a little bit over time. So, like, if I'll start leaning back a bit, I'll start drifting away from my mic. I gotta remember to be conscious about pulling it back in. Before I got a mic arm, I was always like, why do people keep, like, hovering around and constantly have to adjust their mic? And now I know. Now I know why people do it. Because once you are free to move around, like, once you have a mic that is just close to you wherever you want, it's so much easier. The mic can orbit you rather than you orbiting the mic. Giant skeleton. Alistair. This is not going to be a fast seed. That's what happens when you don't get Black Panther. In this economy. Still so sad my best movement option is for using Giant Bat. Drinking all my MP to go slightly faster through a hallway. I shouldn't be that worried about taking damage. Kit with some random dark fur color. How collectible is this kitten? Is it fungible? Ascalon. Fluffy, but is it fungible? Is it a token? God, I can't even fall fast enough with Giant Bat is the other problem. If you have to go down quickly, it's faster to not go Giant Bat mode. This is complete and utter tangent. This is not at all related to what's going on or what I've been talking about. I got recommended on YouTube. I got recommended... Did anybody watch the old cartoon Delta State? I watched a couple of episodes of that, and I've kind of been enjoying it in a weird way. Like, it's not incredible. Any scene where there's, like, action happening is kind of rough. If you've never heard of it, it's basically... I think it's, like, the first fully rotoscoped animated show. And I remember it ran on Teletoon and a couple of other networks, I believe, but... It's not a very, like, outwardly goofy or action-packed animated series, so it probably did not do super well in terms of, like, viewership, but... Watching it back now, I kind of appreciate what they're going for. It's very French. Very French comic book. Anyways, that's my tangent. That's my tangent. You remember Delta State? You remember the Oblongs? You remember the 90s? You remember the early 2000s? You remember the Sears air conditioner commercial? I'll call now! It was a good show! It also kills me a little bit, because one of the concepts in the show is like, there are these group of evil people things, I don't know what they're classified as, called the Rifters. And they can take people's essence, which they call their, like, the Akasha, and they store it in a parallel dimension, the Delta State, where it eventually kind of breaks down and gets used by other Rifters. Like, they just basically take your body and rip the soul out of it. And so... You hear the term Akasha a lot, but they pronounce it as, like, Akasha a lot, and it's like, ugh! Speaking of, time to take a bunch of damage. Oh no, I've seen Cyber 6. Cyber 6 is really cool. Monster Rancher was... It did a great job of making the actual, like, thing, the actual game it was based off, look a lot more interesting than it was. No shade to Monster Rancher fans, but having watched Monster Rancher, just having actually, like, played a little bit of the actual games is just no, I don't want to play Monster Rancher. God dang it. Yeah, for a series called Monster Rancher, they just find all the CDs already. That was the other cool thing that I thought was, like, gonna be so fucking incredible if I ever got a chance to play the game. The whole thing about pulling monsters out of CDs you have, but then it just turned out, like... You were not gonna be pulling a massive array of super scary and powerful dudes, but... I was young, I was easily manipulatable. Digimon was also a lot. Digimon kind of did its own thing at the very least. They didn't really acknowledge the games themselves too much. Like, I understand that they kind of have to do the remakes. Also, we're going to run one more seed today. We should have time for it, I think, as long as I don't get tremendously unlucky. Problem is they have to, you have to either just have a preset library of, like, you know, enterable things, or you just simply look up codes online. It's one of those things that would be a lot more difficult these days with the internet. Delta State. You are so green. What do we get? Ghost. Ghost is weird. Ghost, I believe Ghost is wholly elemental, but it's also not very reliable. Kind of just does its own thing arbitrarily. Like a dog or, well, itself. Ooh, Nightmare. That is probably going to replace Ghost, I think. Twice the MP cost, but also just much more reliable and powerful in general. I'm consistently getting good souls to start. I just hope I maybe get Black Panther this run. That'd be pretty cool. I think part of the reason I didn't, like, I tried Monster Rancher fairly recently, like within the past 10 years, and that's probably part of the reason I didn't enjoy it as much. Because I don't have the patience I would have had as a child to deal with all the nonsense that it throws at you. My Monster Rancher adjacent game probably would have been Jade Cocoon. I remember enjoying the concept of Jade Cocoon, but in practice I never finished it. There were a couple of, like, games that had, you know, you would scan a barcode and it would generate a character or whatever. Huh. Press the button, please. But as it turns out, it's much more efficient to just simply sell people gacha. Induce artificial FOMO with digital goods and sell them for gacha. So weak. Could save some MP for the boss fight for good old creeks. Call him Super Creek, that name's not taken, right? Nobody's using that name? Good. Actually, that's a very good tangent to go from Monster Rancher, Uma Musume. Probably the closest thing we have to, like, a modern-day Monster Rancher, weirdly enough. The problem is that the daily stuff, it just got too much. Like, I don't mind Grand Blue because the daily stuff is relatively quick. But, if you want to do, like, a daily career mode run in Uma Musume, it's like at least 20 minutes. It's too much. I can't do that. I can't sit down and have the dialogue that quickly every single day. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that doesn't work with, like, modern-day internet. As soon as any knowledge is known, all knowledge is known. That's something that a lot of games... I feel like Mina the Hollower is, like... It's going to be actively hurt by people, like, providing full guides and stuff, because... Oh, wow, Gladiator. Because, like, I feel like it's part of the whole thing. Like, it reminds me a lot of the original Zelda, where you're kind of just set into the world. And, like, you're given a little bit, like, there's a couple of breadcrumbs that you're given here and there, but for the most part, you're just kind of like, here you go, figure it out. And I feel like anybody looking up information is going to ruin the experience. Not because, you know, oh, you'll spoil yourself on the plot or whatever, but, like, I think part of the fun of games is finding ways to get around bits of friction that are maybe trivial because you just didn't have the right knowledge. Maybe it's, you know, just a path that you weren't aware of, that bypasses a really dangerous enemy, or maybe there's a strategy you could use, but I feel like people, like, having all the guides and stuff available for them now, I feel like it's kind of doing them a bit of a disservice. Like, I don't think Meat of the Hollower would be completely ruined if you know, looked up some guides here and there, but I feel like a lot of people probably are going to look up, you know, where missable things might be, and I think we need to stop doing that. Like, unless I am completely and utterly, like, not having fun anymore level stuck, I generally will not fuck with guides. Because, like, that's the other cool thing about Meat of the Hollower specifically, is that there is no set order to do anything in. Like, I'm almost positive I've gone well off of script, so to speak. Like, the area I went to was way harder in general than everything else I found so far, but I'm still having a good time. It's difficult, but it's fun. Oh no, katana. And, like, in the process of kind of going off the beaten path, like going to a spot that's probably more difficult than I should be, I'm getting better at the game, and I'm also finding little tricks and stuff to deal with stuff, which, again, I don't want to talk about too much, because I legitimately think a lot of the enjoyment of that game is going to be either playing it by yourself, or kind of going collaborative with other people that you can trust to not just immediately blurt out, like, oh yeah, go do this, 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 this. Where'd I go first? I went to the crypt, I believe. I had the VOD the other day, I went through the crypt first. And then recently, I mean, I guess I can talk about it because they literally tell you all the locations. I went to the beach area. I did that dungeon, and that was really fun. Very hard, but very fun. I found a fun little trick that lets me do some borderline game-breaking stuff, but it's fine because I learned it myself. It's cool. FF11, yeah, FF11 is understandably a little different. But yeah, I can understand why people would want to use a guide, but, like, I feel like just going right into a game, like, just jumping right into a game with a guide handy, I feel like that's a little... For me, at least, it would not be fun. I would not want to play a game like that. I feel like having stuff that maybe you miss or just weren't aware of, I feel like that can be really nice for encouraging you to come back and be like, oh shit, I never knew I could do it that way, and then you come back and you find a new way to play the game that's really fun for you. Oh, if you're going for achievements, that is a very different beast. Achievements are, like, I would fully recommend using a guide for those, especially with, like, retro achievements. And that's the other thing, like, I think a lot of people don't realize, like, Meat of the Hollower has a manual. Like, you can go look up stuff about the game. There's a manual in the game. It's not going to tell you how to beat the entire game, but it tells you a lot of mechanics, it tells you how stuff works in general. Exactly. I think part of the thing is, when I was younger, I was much bigger on, you know, making sure you get everything. You gotta 100% complete the game. You can't miss anything. What do you think of a friend of yours, for the most part, used to skip all cutscenes even on the first play? I mean, it's their game, ultimately. Like, if they were not enjoying it, if they weren't having a good time watching the cutscenes and just like the gameplay, I can't fault them for that. Now, if you're skipping, you know, tutorial dialogues and cutscenes and stuff, and they're explaining how to do stuff, then you're like, why do they not tell me about this? Oh yeah, the completionism, yeah. There are too many missable things in games. But yeah, I will sometimes start like jumping through text really quickly if it starts to, you know, drag or the writing is not great. I will, you know, gladly start skipping voiceover and stuff if it's just not appealing to me, but like most of the time we piece together what's going on for the gameplay and scuppable bits of the cutscenes are just people talking. Again, if that's how they see it, if that's how they're enjoying it, and they're having a good time with it. Or yeah, if you've seen the cutscenes already, then obviously, yeah, but I feel like most people are not going to games blind having seen the cutscenes. Ooh. Well, it depends how much the story matters, and it matters, like, the quality of the writing as well. Because I remember one game where, like, they simultaneously wanted there to be, like, this big, you know, cataclysmic thread, and like, oh, look, this is really dangerous, we gotta take this super serious. And then your mascot companion is constantly looking at the camera and mugging and saying, boy, isn't this ridiculous? Isn't this silly? Isn't this like a tutorial in a video game? And like, you lost me, dog. You completely lost me. I'm not interested in whatever you have to say in your dialogue. You don't get to try and get me to take it seriously and then also be like, isn't this stupid? Isn't it silly how many tutorials are in a video game? Anyways, here's a tutorial. Like, you don't get to say tutorials are silly and then launch into a tutorial that doesn't make the joke funny. Comboed. Riddler 2 is a 2-minute unskippable run cut. I mean, that was a little more excusable. This would have been the 90s, so... Riddler 2 was the 90s, right? ...2000, okay. Right between. We could do better. We could do better than casual clothing. Yeah, it's honorary 90s. God, Souls games are kind of like the epitome of how the internet completely... Like, I don't hate the idea of cataloging stuff in a game for reference for later, but like... It genuinely feels like people on the internet especially will just like, oh no, you gotta do this, you can't miss this. Although I will say some of the questline stuff in Souls games are like very arcane. Like, I could not tell you how to progress half the questlines in Dark Souls 1. That advertisement showing an air mod attacking New York with the Twin Towers. 2000. That's how you know we didn't have time travel. If we had time travel, we would already be dead. Somebody would have fucked everything up already. So the answer is no, we do not have time travel. I guarantee you, if somebody had the opportunity to do time travel and just erase the entire timeline and completely fuck everything up, they would have done so already. We'd be gone. We wouldn't exist. That's how I know time travel will never be invented. Ah, but what if they created a parallel universe where the universe wasn't destroyed? No, they would have destroyed that too. Otherwise, I would live in the fucking dimension where hoverboard ASDF is still alive and running well. That's a joke for one person, myself. Unless you've heard my explanation about hoverboard ASDF from previous streams, and even then, there's no way you remember it. Don't bullshit me. Don't lie to me. Is that the same place I got Ectoplasm last time? Like, this is definitely a different seed because we start with Nightmare instead of... Like, we did eventually get Gladiator, but we started with Nightmare this time. Or we got Nightmare really early. Yeah, that's a Black Cloak this time. Just making sure. I was getting antsy when I generate multiple seeds, because... Unless you rename them, the only information you have is in the file name, like the different seed number, so you have to make sure you're picking the correct one when you load up the files. Oh, that was weird. I did like a perfect pivot. I feel like I've seen a couple people try and do that, like just set up a invitation for time travelers and, you know, nobody showed up. I want a Metroidvania that refuses Circle's DSS system. Oh, buddy, I would love to refuse that. I know you probably meant reuses, but... The cards were fine, it's just that it was... a little silly how most of them were just complete RNG. Never actually watched TNG. I think when it was running, I was still kind of young, and I was like, "Oh, this nerd shit." I gotta play my cool manly games like Mario and Yoshi's Island. Kirby, but he's got angry eyes, so you know that he's tough. Your uncles love Tredge. Tredge? Is that a Star Wars guy? Or Star Trek guy? Oh, this guy just got cancelled in both the Star Wars and Star Trek communities in one fell swoop. My god, the efficiency. Speedrunning getting banned from multiple discords at once. I think I remember they were running it on TNN back before they switched to Spike TV. Like, constantly, but I was mostly there just to watch real TV, because I was a teenager and I liked seeing car crashes and stuff. Oh, great. Sorry, I'm just thinking about calling it Star Tredge and getting thrown out of every Discord. This motherfucker just said Star Tredge. Go on the front page of Reddit. People posting like bumper stickers that say Star Tredge and stuff. It's over. I picked up something there, I don't know what it was. I heard the pickup noise. But yeah, I never really watched, like, Star Trek. I was a Star Wars boy. I know they did run Next Generation as well on Spike, but I kind of stopped watching once they switched over. Actually, no, that's not true. I watched Spike TV for Most Extreme Elimination Challenge, and that was basically it. I remember watching, like, the first episode of the new Ren and Stimpy, and like, wow! This sucks ass! I'm a teenage boy, this should appeal to me. It doesn't. It sucks ass. It's Ren and Stimpy, but they're allowed to do adult things. They're allowed to be racy. They're allowed to do blue comedy. And this was, you know, well before John Christofalusi was outed as a pest, as a creep, so... I do remember the one ad, I don't remember if it was for Next Generation, for a different Star Trek, but there was the one where, like, they had the Klingon woman or something, and they were just like, hey Dave, would you? I would. The chair squeak. So the Mach Punch. I think that was actually before Spike TV, too. That was before they went all in on the, you know, overly masculine everything. Am I using a basic katana right now? I think I am, right? I could do a little upgrade.
Can you fart so hard your balls explode?
Someday I'll scrub through my Mansers. Well, I think Spike started as, like, the first network for men, and then they still kind of kept the hyper-masculinity, but it was more just, like, they focused on, like, action stuff, I think. Like, they were like, oh, we're the network for action. Because they went all in on, like, James Bond marathons and stuff like that, so... But like I said, most of the time for TNN, I was watching it for real TV. Just watching pre-YouTube random, you know, car crash videos and stuff, and then once they switched over to Spike, it was basically just the MXC network and nothing else. I think MXC is part of why I can't stand, like, Wipeout, because, like, they were still doing corny jokes and stuff, but they just... Wipeout always felt like they were trying way too hard. Because MXC was also, like, adapting footage from decades ago, so... You know, it wasn't people mugging for the camera, it was pre-reality TV boom, so there weren't people distinctively trying to look like an asshole in the hopes that they might be on TV and be famous. Bunch of poor Japanese people jumping into ponds and shit. Broadcast TV. Every time I try to explain the concept to my nephew, he's just like, why would you do this? Why would you let a TV decide what you watch? And I don't exactly have a great answer for that. It's just what we had. Of course, I say this and then, you know, everybody scrolls algorithms and reels and shit, so who knows? I can't imagine most of the people on the show actually got to beat Takashi, though. Maybe the winners? That reminds me, the other day I watched I think it was a British TV show, Games Master or Game Master, where they apparently, they got this, I think it was Virtua Fighter 3, I think they got, like, this Japanese Virtua Fighter 3 player to take on what they said was 100, you know, challengers in a row, and he won all of them, but according to the comments in the YouTube video, which I have no way of proving them true or false, but apparently it was just, they got like 30 kids from the host's mother's drama school that just were around for the day and could be, you know, pulled in relatively quickly. And it turns out, like, none of them had actually, like, they tried to play it up as like, oh, we've gotten 100 of you know, Britain's best Virtua Fighter players, and then it turns out, nah, half of them have never played the game before. I love a nice cursed coffee. Ooh, strawberry. My nephew knows what a radio is. I don't think he really listens. I mean, I don't really listen to a radio anymore. Still the 100 best British virtual fighter players. Look. I'm not here to roast mid-90s virtual fighter, maybe 2000s virtual fighter gamers in Britain. I know they did announce like a new virtual fighter. I don't think they announced it, I think it's so much as it got leaked. But apparently they are doing like a proper new virtual fighter now. I hope it's good. I hope my virtual fighter homies are gonna enjoy it. No, radio turned into Spotify. How much weaker is this? Eh. Unfortunately, as it turns out, people, as a whole, do enjoy having algorithms tell them things to watch. Case in point, show anybody, you know, a full listing of shows on, like, Netflix or a full listing of games on Steam, be like, alright, let's pick one. And yeah, finding it for yourself is difficult, but I do feel like people are a little too algorithm brained these days. Like with most stuff, you gotta go in moderation. Curate the shit out of your feeds, otherwise you kind of just end up watching the same things everybody else does, in a weird way. And like, yeah, you'll probably get pretty safe picks, you'll probably get stuff you enjoy, but then you're never gonna truly experience the weird shit, the cool stuff. Oh yeah, no, I'm not touching anything that has to show me other people's opinions on things unprompted. I turn that shit off if I can. Like Blue Sky, they probably will try and push it at some point. I'm sure they will, but I will never leave my following feed. Like I just have no interest in seeing what some other dipshit thought about a thing. That's why I hate when people do the quote retweet dunk on them. Can't stand that. Like if you're going for a walk and you find a massive pile of dog poop, would you pick it up and bring it back home to show it to other people? I don't think you would. I don't think so. So why would you show me a post about some horrible things somebody said on social media? Why would you do this to me? I don't want it. I've never actually seen any Charles Bronson movies. I just know the bits from The Simpsons where he's like, I wish I was dead. Oh yeah, no, don't go actively searching for discussion topics on social media. This is a fool's errand. Get a little closer, please. A lot of my knowledge about stuff from like the early 80s and before that are kind of like, I've mostly osmosed knowledge from stuff like The Simpsons and whatnot. So like, I'm tangentially aware of the existence of like Chuck Bronson, or Charles Bronson, not Chuck Bronson. Mix him up with Chuck Norris for a second. Oh, I can't slide. Shucks. Make me do this a second time. Make me do this a second time, don't even have the decency to give me a Black Panther? I see how it is. Oh yeah, it was the style of the time. Gang members are a free target because they serve sell drugs, they trade drugs. The only victim is the gang member. Victimless crime. Actually, I think this is actually a little bit faster than walking to the other teleporter and going back from the chapel. I think I could actually, like, watch broadcast TV. I think they do have, like, streaming through the cable provider, or the internet provider here. Would I want to? Do I want to deal with commercials again? God, I've had ad block for so long. I might actually just explode if I had to watch an advertisement voluntarily. I love how YouTube is always trying to be like, are you experiencing interruptions? Like, I'm almost 1000% positive that I'm just tripping their anti-ad block measure. You know, for a few seconds while it bypasses the ads, but I'm almost positive it's just like, oh, your service might be interrupted, or are you using an ad blocker? Those can ruin YouTube. Like, no, they cannot. God, it would have been perfect if, as soon as I mentioned never wanting to watch ads again, you get a series of Twitch ads. The other problem with experiencing stuff alongside other people now is, like, a lot of times you end up watching a season of something on a streaming service anyways, like it's just released there and you just have all the episodes, so like, if you don't binge that shit, some ding-dong might just be like, oh man, did you see what happened at the end of that show the other day? Oh boy. Can't believe Jimmy John was the killer the whole time. You watched the entire series in a 6-hour time frame, didn't you? Yeah, sorry for spoiling Jimmy John. Yeah, no, I would not want to experience modern internet without ad blocker. Betting ads as well. Betting ads are a fucking blight. Betting in general, like, it's so depressing. Like, it's bad enough that almost every company is trying to get around, like, how maybe we could advertise, like, a little bit of gambling to children. Maybe we could. What if we called them Lucky Blocks and it was in Roblox and you paid Robux instead of real money? Then it's not gambling, right? I should save my MP for the last form, actually. Yeah, Tomboy ads are a very different website. Surprise mechanics. Get like right on top, I can actually multi-hit the nightmare. Like, a lot of people do have this weird nostalgia for, like, the early internet, and, like, yeah, it was generally less of a cesspool, but also people do tend to whitewash it a lot. Wait, is this? No, this isn't the same seed. Right? No, I don't think there's a fronting in there. I think that was something else. Actually, is that better than Kunitsuna? Same strength, bigger hitbox. I think a gold plate, though. The only ad getting for Twitch subscriptions, like, do you wanna subscribe to Twitch? You want to subscribe to Twitch so you don't see ads to subscribe to Twitch? Kind of serving the same function, honestly, but... Like, on the rare occasions where I am exposed to, like, actual, like, TV advertising, I saw one, I think over the Christmas break for, I think it was a gambling company, and, like, it's this lady listening to... I don't remember what she's doing, she's just, like, doing stuff, and then she hears, like, some noise, and it reminds her of the theme of the gambling company's commercials, and it's, like, unintentionally the most depressing thing. Like, imagine advertising your service, like, oh, that reminds me of gambling. Like, I don't know if they're still running that commercial, but oof. A little on the nose. I remember that 1 versus 100 game. I never actually played it on, like, Xbox Live, but that was kind of a cool concept. You would not approve that ad. That's why you're not in gambling advertising. Because you still have a soul. How can we make addiction look as appealing as possible? Wait a minute. I don't have slide. Oh no, wait, I got slide. I think probably the reason they didn't keep running it was that the cost of operating, because it had like a live host too, right? It wasn't just they were running the game automated, like it was a live host too, so... So probably they just determined it is not worth the amount of money they were spending on it. Having staff on hand to make sure everything runs smoothly. That was a cool thing to do for, like, you know, subscribers of a service, though. It's a shame they don't really do that anymore. I mean, tobacco commercials have their own set of sins. Shoutouts to when they would advertise cigarettes on the fucking Flintstones. It's literally like hearing the bell and salivating, like the lady hears the noise and is like, ah, that's gambling. I should gamble. Gambling releases dopamine. This is good for me. This is good that I associate this noise with gambling. Oh, but buddy, they won't even let me fuck Joe Camel. Can I actually... No, I don't have the... I think the intended next path is supposed to be underwater, but we're gonna do a little sequence breakio. The mention of the Rock Band drum set kind of made me miss that period when people were like all in on Guitar Hero and Rock Band. That was a good time. Was, you know, for sure not meant to last like all trends, but... Problem is they kept pushing the additional releases maybe a little too much. I think also they kind of... I don't remember. I think you could transfer over most of the songs that you downloaded. But eventually, like, you know, you were going to hit a point where if you didn't do a brand new release, you were going to be limited by whatever that current framework could do, right? So if you want to introduce a new instrument, we can't do that without adding new ones to every existing song. Because Guitar Hero didn't have the drums originally. That wasn't until, I want to say, 4 when they added the drums like Rock Band. I do remember, like, when that trend started to fall off, like, you know, you would find tons and tons of the old instruments, like, they were just so overstocked with the old instruments that they couldn't get rid of them fast enough. Or they couldn't get rid of them because there were too many people. And now it's like, if you actually want to find a proper one, it's a lot more expensive. At the very least now they do have, like, good alternatives if you want to just play it on, like, your computer or something. You can get, a guitar controller for it. Works nicely with a PC interface, and it has modern day, like, song importing. You can do custom beat maps, that kind of stuff. And also fairly recently, like, somebody, I don't know if it was one person or a group of people, they, like, cleaned up the PC port of Guitar Hero 3 so you can actually just play it on modern OSs now. And not have to worry about, like, any kind of DRM or download stuff, like, it's all just included, because the official servers for that are long, long dead. Like, it's not even, like, the recession stuff. It genuinely was a different place, but I feel like it is very whitewashed in terms of, like, oh, it was perfect, it was incredible. Like, the early internet had problems, too. Because, like, again, early internet meant that when they started implementing ads and stuff, they didn't really have ad block. Ad blockers didn't start rolling out for a while, so a lot of times the early internet was just packed to the gills with banner ads, flashing bullshit everywhere. Also, just generally a lot less tolerant to people if you were not a straight white man. People threw around slurs like they were going out of style, which they were. Also, there was a lot of, like, hyper-masculinity just in everything. Girl? Even like trans folks and all that too, like that was not really, I would say not within like the past decade, I would say that it kind of became more quote-unquote acceptable for the average person online. And even then there's still tons of shitty people out there. But like if you said that in like, you know, 2000, forget it. You'd called every single slur. People would invent new slurs to call you. World Tour required your microphone to be named Logitech USB microphone. They just hard-coded it to look for Logitech USB. Hell yeah. People don't want to use other microphones. I'm not gonna use the Kaiser Knuckle, but I could sell that for a decent amount of cash. And yeah, if you did, you know, ever admit you're a girl on the internet, then every single dude would either insult you or demand pictures of your tits or whatever. Or yeah, or both. Sometimes both. Gravekeeper. But overall, I genuinely do think it was, like, for the most part, a nicer place. Like, I understand, in terms of, like, features, modern-day internet is probably stronger in that, like, you can get, you know, it's a lot easier to find stuff and obtain stuff if you need it. Like, just even videos. A lot of people forget, even, like, 2000, you know, cable internet was not the standard. And so if you wanted to watch a video of something, you had to download a tiny clip and sit there for hours. God forbid somebody pick up the phone or otherwise your connection drops. Comes with the good and the bad. It was still monetized, but not in, like, a very omnipresent way. Like, the average site was not going to interrupt you reading something halfway through to tell you to subscribe to the newsletter or whatever to drive engagement. There was still absolutely, like, SEO optimization bullshit everywhere, though. Beating the shit out of the tree loot tree until it gives me a plushie. Now, here's the thing, Sebmal. Oftentimes you click the wrapper and you still would not get a free iPod. The game was rigged from the very beginning. Even if you didn't click the wrapper, you wouldn't get an iPod. But if you click the wrapper, you would also not get an iPod. So what the fuck? See, you got lucky. I never got shit from tree loot. I beat the shit out of the tree loot tree, and I never got anything. Actually, Gunner would be really good for fighting this dude. I remember very, very briefly, I think in like 2008 or 2009, I got really into like finding free stuff online. I got a couple of pens, I think. I got some free pens, and that was, like, the most meaningful free thing that I got. Like, physical thing. I remember having, like, an irrational hatred for anything on Xoom, or Zoom, or however it's pronounced, X-O-O-M. Because I would try to find ROMs, and, like, anytime there was a ROM that was hosted on, like, a Zoom website, it would always fail. Like, just for whatever reason, they were cursed. I was gonna delete them within 24 hours, honest. But how can I delete them within 24 hours if I can't even download them? There was also, like, we very briefly installed one of those, like, show ads in your browser to get money. And I think I remember, like, we got a check one time, and I was like, oh my god, we can make so much money doing this. And then they shut down. I don't remember what service it was called. If I could remember, oh, what was it? Yeah, like I would say like 95, 96 is when it kind of started to become the internet as most people know it. Like, if you sat the average person down and told them, like, okay, you're going to be subscribing to a news group on Usenet, and you're going to be using Gopher to find something, they would explode. I feel like those are the kind of the three eras. Like, if you had to use Usenet, if you were on message boards, and then, you know, present day cesspool. 5 captures to download things. I don't remember if I don't think I was using Emu Paradise, but captures have definitely gotten worse. Oh my god, captures are so bad now. Really, can I make it over here? I need Undyne. but only Gundime. Okay, I can just make the jump from there. Because, like, I legitimately would not have been able to experience a lot of the cool games, like, you know, stuff like the Tales of Fantasia, English translation, Seiken Densetsu 3. I legitimately would have not been able to experience those without the internet. Yeah, back when. Please identify the insurgents in this photo. You don't have to be accurate, just kind of close. Black Panther? Please! Fuck you mean I gotta click on a bicycle? You identify yourself as human, how about that? You're a website, you have no right to speak in my holy tongue. Oh, that's right, I have Hippogriff, I can just jump. Can't figure out a bot? Then that's on you, not me. So, the auto-clear thing, that's not an extension, that's a more modernized CAPTCHA, where the idea is that rather than just, you know, typing in a thing, it analyzes the way you click on the box, and, like, robots will have a specific way of, like, bypassing even moving the mouse over the box altogether, or pressing tab, like, it just... They have systems in place to detect it if you're trying to bypass the part of clicking or tab pressing on the box. So oftentimes you will never see, like, you will never get caught by those because you are a human. You will naturally move your mouse over the box to click it, or otherwise press tab or something. I knew a guy kind of like that in college. Not the point of, you know, running his own little hentai server, but he would always offer, like, I'm pretty sure he had, like, terabytes and terabytes of extra hard drives for whatever. He was always offering us movies and stuff and games. Porn, I'm pretty sure, was there as well. Yeah, I'll use bombing for a bit. I got backdash. Bombing is big. It does a lot of damage, but it only hits once. Good for high defense enemies, though. Such a weird weapon, like it's a sword that has two smaller swords on the side that are further back than the main blade. I did finally find a good website to get some ROMs, though. Like, zero ads, zero bullshit. It is very bare bones. It is not a fancy-looking site, but it does everything I need, and I'm so happy. The only thing is that it is, A, you know, I can't exactly talk about it on stream, and B, it is invite-only, so... not exactly something you'll probably find with a Google search, but... yeah, this is a high school notebook sword, exactly. Like, what if my sword had more swords on it? That'd be cool. That'd be cooler than a regular sword. I mean, Minerva has its own set of problems, mostly the fact that you are on a torrent, so... I have looked into Minerva, and the fact that you have to torrent it means that, unless you have a, you know, what's it called? VPN, you are going to be exposing your IP. Remember, I got dinged a couple times when I was in college for torrenting stuff. Honestly, I'm trying to remember the last time I've, like, torrented something. Don't really torrent much. You're torrenting something right now? Wow. Save some for me. Well, no, that's what I mean. Like, the notice is like, they are aware you're doing it. It's basically your ISP having the courtesy to say, hey, look, if you keep doing this, we're going to cut you off, but we don't want to go through the entire legal battle. The time's in trouble. The thing with that, if you get the notices, it's like, time's in trouble, you know, 0, but if it does happen, the last thing I want to do is get into a legal battle with a large corporation that has decided I am in its kill, you know, I'm in the crosshairs today, Nintendo wants to kill me today. Because I don't want to fucking fight Nintendo. Like, it's not that I'm downloading every single ROM in a set or whatever, just like checking out random stuff here and there, games that never came out here in English, that kind of stuff. I still don't have Undyne, damn. Yeah, anything new, just stay the fuck away from that. Yeah, I can't actually water walk today. Over here. Gravekeeper. Thankfully, Archive is actually weirdly really good in a lot of cases. Like, it's not foolproof, obviously you're not going to be finding, you know, the new Backrooms movie on Archive, but... I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I assume any large corporation is sitting around the corner wringing their hands going, hee-hoo, how can I squeeze more money out of consumers? Like, the way things are going with everybody trying to move to subscription-based models and not actually owning things anymore, I would fully believe that, you know, there are companies intentionally seeding versions of their stuff on torrent sites so they can quickly just slurp up all the IPs and be like, ah, looks like you've been downloading stuff. We're gonna take money now. We're gonna get you in a legal battle that's going to be a nightmare to resolve. We're gonna drain you of your time and your money. That'll be fun. Because, like, the average person, you know, you download fucking Mario. It's unlikely that they're gonna go after Jimmy download Mario 1 ROM, but... that too, like, distribution is another thing. Which, again, torrenting is kind of part of it, because if you're torrenting something, you are inherently... I think even if you don't, like, seed anything, I think you are still getting your IP, like, logged, technically. Which is why that's more of a, kind of a gray area. Like, you could set your upload rate to 0, but I'm pretty sure it does still keep your IP and stuff. There's Undyne. Like, I do think the average person does not need a VPN. Like, all the use cases where it's like, oh, you have to get NordVPN to keep yourself safe online. Like, NordVPN is not going to make you significantly safer and, like, you know, watching stuff on Netflix or whatever. The average person probably will never have to worry about that. But that's how they make their money, is lulling you into a sense of terror about, like, oh, I need to be safe online. I think my favorite, I think it was like last month, there was that whole website that's like, oh, look how much information they're keeping on you. Oh, isn't that scary? And then it turns out, the app was like, it was discovered the app was coded by like AI, it was vibe coded. And it's like, oh, look at all this stuff that your browser tells everything about you. And it's like, okay, well, half of this stuff has been in place since the very beginning anyway. It's like, it's just built in. This isn't a new thing. Like, websites have always kept information about where you're connecting from and what, you know, user agent you're using, what OS you're using, all that stuff, your location. This is not new. I think my favorite thing was I went to that website on an incognito tab on Firefox just out of curiosity, and I got, like, nothing. Whoa, you got me! Oh man, and I'm using Firefox? Oh, it's so over. It's so over. My privacy. Keep killing the core too quickly. I probably don't need the soul. God, if that would have been a second Black Panther, though. Like, I promise you there are worse things to worry about than knowing, like, what version of Firefox, like, worrying about a website, knowing what version of Firefox you're on or where you're connecting from. Because, again, this is all stuff that has been known since the beginning. This has been in the specs from day one. I could be using Netscape Navigator, they would still track this information. So anyways, that's why you need to give me $40 a month. So I can say, you're actually in Brazil, and you're connecting with, Dogpile. That'll fool him. Shit, I feel like if you use Dogpile, that would make you extremely identifiable in this day and age. That's the motherfucker who still uses Dogpile, I know him. Oh no, I know. I understand the concern is, like, what is the information going to be used for, but at the same time, like, these concerns should have been in from the very beginning. This isn't, like, a new thing. Like, they're trying to frame it as this big, oh, scary, look how much information you have, you're giving away for free now. It's like, this isn't new. But it's easier to scare people into submission than ask them nicely, so. It's easier to just have AI generate something that looks important than actually make something important. The real lesson at the end of the day. Yoko, why you get stabbed? Stop being stabbed. I don't need this, I don't want to pick it up. Do I have any of the books yet? I have 2 book. Need Medusa Head. Do I have Medusa Head? I have Medusa Head. After doing the arena, I might loop back and try and see, because I never did get to do the Forbidden area. Alright, I don't have the Cleave Solution. I'm actually doing a reasonable amount of damage now. I should probably have a little treat. A little potion of treat. Which one is this? This is... Alright, Osafune is the big one, but otherwise not super important. Dustfooting is good if starting off, but it falls off. It's also only a single hit. Ow, I got comboed. Holy crap, Lois. Ooh, I'm poking you at mid-range. You hate this. Ooh, it's me, Honest Midsoma. That one post going around recently again about, do you think I played Gordo because his ripped physique, perfect hands to choke me out with, and fat cock? No, I play him because he's mid-tier. I'm glad Under Night took off. Well, not like took off, but it became popular. I was playing that shit from Uniel with my buddy bringing it over on his PS3, imported it. I remember we tried to stream it one day, but the PS3 has like the HDCP stuff, and we couldn't get a splitter that worked nicely with it without destroying the signal, so we just didn't bother. There's your bit of Deep Andy lore. In an alternate timeline, I could have been a Uniel streamer before it was popular. Ah, the famous blade known as Graham. Well, I think almost any like capture card these days will just have an option to bypass HDCP. Admittedly, I've not looked at the capture cards. I have my my Live Gamer Extreme, which is still going very strong to this day. I've not really had much of a reason to bust it out, but I wonder what the new like gold standard for capture cards is. Like, I know for 3DS, I think they just have fully like in-system ones now. Like, you just stream it wirelessly, you don't even bother installing a physical device. With homebrew stuff, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, I imagine a wireless connection's not necessarily going to be the best, but the alternative is paying a couple $100 for a mod. Alright, I don't have Giant Bat, I have to do this regular style. I can do this regular style while being stabbed by Lubricant and kicked by Socrates. What if these statues are actually based on any, like, real statue? Just calling him Socrates, he was probably ripped. I feel like every traditional depiction of, like, any, like, philosopher or scholar, they're always fucking buff. They're ripped. 3DS emulation is pretty good these days. I think most people are using Azahar now. I think now that Citra is kind of dead and gone. Although I have been trying, I think on my Thor, I think Azahar on that is still not incredible. But I think that it might just be the version of Azahar for Android at the moment. Need to look and see if there's like an updated version or a different one I could use. I mostly finished like poking around with all the weird stuff I want to do for the moment with my Thor. At this point, I can kind of just sit down and play the games. I have been playing them like on the side here and there, but I have been kind of in the process of just like setting stuff up and tweaking stuff because it's fun. I like poking around with my devices. I finally got Phantasy Star Online Blue Burst working fully online with it on Iphinia. You gotta use Winlator, and you have to download a third-party keyboard app because the built-in Android keyboard doesn't work nicely, but aside from that, it's BSO on the go, baby! Ugh. Yeah, like if you have the actual hardware, of course it is gonna be better. I just have the Thor, I have the device that is explicitly designed for emulating a bunch of different stuff, including dual screen games, so I'm gonna use that. Also, I'm pretty sure the battery on my 3DS is probably not super great these days. I certainly do not want to buy a 3DS with the current aftermarket prices. Hamaji, Honto, Doshite. Do this the real way. Ugh. It's also kind of nice, like I have Warframe set up on the Android version. Works pretty well. Obviously not as, you know, graphically nice as the desktop version, but you are comparing a desktop game to a phone game, so. I just don't like playing Warframe on controller. I play so much on keyboard and mouse these days that it feels weird. Also with game native, some games work really nicely, like the Hollower, it's really nice on that. Although it's a very case-by-case basis, some games just don't work very nicely, if at all. Yeah, that's another nice thing, like I can have them all set up for retro achievement stuff, so if I want to fuck around with a game while I'm like going to bed or whatever, I could just get a few Chivos. Not have to worry about syncing everything up. No progress wasted. No XP waste. The only thing that's kind of stinky about the Thor is, like, obviously, you know, prices are going up because of memory costs, but also they are changing the storage. They're switching from, I think, 4.0 to 3.1 UFS. I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make, but I think all future models going forward from batch 6 are going to have 3.1. Because it is not really feasible to continue offering them at the current price. Really old version of SNES 9X for full frame on the 3DS. Yeah, I probably, like, that's the one thing I enjoy, having the option to emulate basically everything up to, like, PS3. I think the only reason PS3 doesn't work super well is not because it doesn't have the power for it, but I think it's just because the emulator is not quite there. Because RPCSX3 or whatever it's called is primarily a PC forward emulator. Yeah, we still only have the 2 books, huh? Oh, we only have the 1 book, right. I don't have other book. Hey guys, it's me, the Peanut Butter Gamer. Is that how he talks? I've never actually watched a Peanut Butter Gamer video. The Peanut Butter Emulator. I'm just reminded of the Canadian movie, The Peanut Butter Solution. The fever dream of every Canadian child born in like the late 80s, early 90s. At some point you were placed in a library and you were forced to watch this movie. You were programmed. Let's go to the chapel, actually, because there's a treat I can pick up here. If you've never seen the peanut butter solution, it's like one of the fucking weirdest bits of, like, Canadian content. It's like two different movies, almost. Like, very, very brief, quick and dirty plot summary. This kid, like, he goes to explore this house that got burned with his friends. Like, he finds this burned out house. And he goes into the house, and he sees these ghosts, and it scares him so badly that he loses all of his hair. I believe the scientific term they use is harem scarum. And so he goes completely bald, like full capital B bald, no hair left, no hair remains. And so the peanut butter solution, the titular solution, is a mix of like a bunch of random shit with peanut butter. And there's one scene where he's smearing it all over his head and he's smiling like a dipshit into the mirror. The problem is that it is too good at growing hair, and his hair starts growing out of control completely. And other kids are, you know, making fun of him and laughing, oh, look at your hair, blah, blah, blah. So you might think, okay, maybe this is kind of like a metaphor, a coming-of-age story of, like, you know, puberty, growing older, dealing with changes to your body. Nope. Second act of the movie, the evil art teacher then kidnaps him and a bunch of other children to steal his hair to use for magic paintbrushes that paint whatever you want. And the second act of the movie is bailing, like, his sister and his friend bailing him out of the evil art teacher sweatshop so his hair doesn't get used to make paintbrushes, and it's fucking weird. So anyways, this is why when you watch Canadian TV, a certain percentage has to be Canadian. Because otherwise we can't indoctrinate you with shit like that. I have Galamoth, right? Yeah, we have Galamoth. I'm pretty sure the entire movie is just on YouTube somewhere, I would not be surprised. Weird movie. I want more people to watch the peanut butter solution. Honestly, just including the previous system as, like, just the entirety of the previous system is the easiest way to do backwards compatibility. Because I think for the 3DS Ambassador program, like, they did a couple of Super Nintendo games, but, like, they had to be basically, you know, tailor-made, and they didn't work perfectly. Does that have all the books? Yeah, there we go. We need Bat, Medusa Head, and Zombie. I don't have Bat. I do have Zombie. So I remember, I think I remember hearing, like, the Ambassador GBA games were also, like, kind of janky. And didn't necessarily work properly, which is why they didn't really have, like, GBA stuff on the 3DS eShop. They didn't want to touch until the new 3DS, so they actually had the processing power. 3DS was such a weird little system. Back when everybody was convinced that 3D gaming was going to be the future. 3D just in general, like 3D TVs and shit. All the movies are running in 3D. I never liked it. I never liked watching movies in 3D. The problem with the 3DS is that it had to be a specific angle, and I remember for Pokemon Moon at least, it fucking murdered the frame rate. It was so bad. No, it wasn't the AI because it didn't pretend like it was creating new things out of nothing. The problem is, like, yeah, like, if I wanted to do the 3D stuff, I had to be at a very specific angle and setup, which at that point is like, I just want to relax and play my handheld. I just want to harvest beans on Pokemon Island. I want to go to Isle of Beans. I don't want 3D beans, I want regular beans. The beans are two-dimensional beans. Like, even with the 3D off, you could tell the poor 3DS was struggling. At least the base model. Maybe the new 3DS was... maybe it ran better? I don't know. I never had a new 3DS. I just want to get beans, man. Oh, I guess there was a second set of... I guess there's a second set of books. I don't think I got that as a random drop, right? Yeah, 3D on TV is great if you're using eye tracking for a single person, but then if you were ever wanting to watch with someone else, then hope you can occupy the same area in physical space simultaneously. What? You can't do that? Unfortunate. Oh wait, no, this is Clock Tower. I gotta go a little further over. I don't remember anything particularly egregious with Diamond and Pearl and Sapphire. Or, not Sapphire, with Platinum. The main thing I remember was the HP bar draining fucking slowly on Diamond and Pearl. I think they did change that for Platinum, but the HP bar drain was so slow in that game. Using the Wiimote backwards with a sensor bar on your person, and the Wiimote at the TV apparently works well for head tracking 3D. Do I want to walk around with a Wiimote on my face? Probably not. I don't think I do. But I don't have Giant Bat. No, I gotta just jump this manual style. I gotta jump this hippo style. I'm just gonna damage tank. Black Panther? Wow! I might switch to the other random, like the older one again. So I'm just not getting any Black Panther seeds whatsoever. Right, this is still a final guard, he still has a bazillion defense. Oh no, it's like the candle trick people would use with their sensor bars sometimes, where you didn't technically need the sensor bar, you just needed two sources of infrared light, which included, you know, candles. You wanna, you know, set the mood, turn down the lights, light a candle, play some of Steven Spielberg's Boom Blocks. Maybe hop on Blastworks, trade, share, destroy. Download some creations from the website. Who here remembers Blastworks for the Wii? It was kind of a remake port of Tomiki Fighters for the PC. Really good game. Really fun game. It had like this little kind of content network, because the whole gimmick of the game was that like you could, whenever you destroyed an enemy ship or whatever, it would start falling down, and if you touched it with your ship, you would pick it up. It was kind of like a shoot-'em-up Katamari almost. And so you could also make your own like designs for ships and obstacles and stuff, and then you could go and download them off of the website which was running for the game. And I'm almost positive it's long dead by now, but it was cool because it would download directly to your Wii. It wasn't that you had to like get a download code or whatever. You just do it through the website, and then it would sync up with your Wii and it would download it. And I think the editor, I think it was functionally the same as the ones that the devs used to make the game. It was just more limited because they didn't want people to use, you know, all the system memory. Just make a ship with a trillion blocks or whatever. I think that's everything, right? We got Bat, we got Medusa Head, we got Zombie, yeah, we're good. Well, I think the big issue with 3D stuff is that, again, they tried to push that shit for everything, and I don't want everything to be 3D. Because that's the thing, it felt like a lot of movies and stuff were just like, oh, we'll put 3D stuff in it because that's what everybody else is doing. We're just gonna add 3D effects to a movie that didn't have them originally. It just didn't feel great. I'm a hater. I'm a 3D hater. I do want to fuck around with VR. Yeah, real-time ray tracing would have been a little bit of a different situation. Ooh, good ring. Probably just use Balmung. I do not see the Steam frame with the way that they have jacked up the price on the Steam Deck. I don't see the Steam frame being like super cheap, unfortunately. Actually, do I have a transformation? Yeah, we got Mana Core. We got Mana Core and we got Devil. But the writing, unfortunately, is kind of on the wall now that they have jacked up the price of the Steam Deck by, what, $200–300? Alright. Medusa Head, Bat, Zombie. Castlevania 1-ass loadout. Yeah, if you want the 1 terabyte, you're looking over $1,000 for Canadian. I'm gonna save this for Chaos, actually. Oh god, that's right, I can't jump cancel effectively with a Balmung because it's not a vertical swing weapon. But that's fine, I got my computer, I got my Thor, I'm good for proper desktop and handheld stuff for a while, I think. Canadian prices usually do not include the sales tax now. Can I please have a Black Panther? Can you be vanilla Black Panther, please? Fucker. Rude. Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. Alright. Yeah, it's like usually it's just the base price and then whatever the provincial sales tax is gets added on after. It's also part of the reason I got a Thor, because I could tell with the way that prices were going up. I think mine was like batch 3 or 4. I could tell with the way prices were going up on storage, like there was no way that was going to stay affordable without sacrificing something, and it turns out I was right. Actually, another good reason to run the other randomizer, thinking about it, is I get to play Wizard mode. I like Wizard mode. Maybe in the future. Actually, I can't even say that with a straight face anymore because every console has gone up after its release now. Like PS5's got more expensive. It's like, no, it's supposed to get cheaper. It's supposed to get cheaper afterwards to encourage people to buy it. They didn't want to get it the first time. But I suppose if people buy it. Yeah, PS5 was a kind of a nightmare to get so early on. But yeah, I got my setup for probably, I would say at least another 10 years. I think I'm good for a bit. kind of how long I took my old computer. It's mostly just I changed the video card at one point. Because my old one died. It was a Radeon Sapphire. I don't remember which model specifically it was. Core. Yeah, I mean, remembering from like the PS5 launch, it was constantly sold out. That shit was out everywhere. Problem with PS5, it ain't got no games. Ain't no point to the games, ain't no games to the point. Oh, what are you gonna do with that whip? You gonna outrange me, Mr. Balmung? Remember that episode of Aria of Sorrow where Mr. Balmung sat on his balls and had to Ule? I'm sure they'll eventually figure out like a different way to get like homebrew and soft mod stuff on the Switch one. I feel like they said the same thing about like every system when soft modding became a thing, like homebrew. Custom firmware stuff, like, oh no, you can't, there's no point in buying the PSP 3000, it'll never be soft moddable, you'll never be able to put custom firmware on it, and then they figured out a way. Ule. I don't know, I'm just generally in the camp of, unless you like absolutely 100% need it, I would say just pump the brakes. You don't need to have a thing as soon as it's out. Yeah, that's a fun little boomerang there. I wanted to do something really cool where I backdash and then jump right out of it, but I mistimed it. So I just looked like a fool. Yeah, I have no interest in the Switch 2 right now. Like, some of the games look fun, Bonanza looks fun. I'm sure they'll eventually announce a Smash Brothers game for the console. But like Mario Kart World did nothing for me. I don't know. Like, yeah, no system is unhackable, but then there's the question of is it worth putting in the effort, like, for the average person? Ooh. I'm gonna take Levitate because it is actually really good. It is jump cancelable, and it is only slightly weaker than the Balmung, plus the hitbox is still really good on this as well. Oh, jeez. Yeah, no, I was very ride or die Nintendo boy, and then I fell out. Partially because I started playing, you know, other systems. I was a bit of a fanboy. Like, I enjoy their first-party stuff, but, like, not to the point of... It just feels so limiting now. Because the big thing for me is, like, I just don't really care that much about exclusives anymore. And honestly, I've been kind of, like, shifting mostly over to PC games over the past, like, 2 decades. Just more options in general. The only issue is right now, currently, I got very lucky in the sense that I built my PC literally, like, 4 or 5 months before the prices started going completely nuts. I have Skulla, right? Please tell me I have Skulla. Yes. So PC gaming for the, you know, the average person today, if you were to be like, you know, sight unseen, I want to build a PC and play a bunch of new games, it's not going to be a great, not a great time. I feel like they just don't even want to bother with, like, the eShop stuff anymore. Like, when I say, you know, emulated stuff, not, you know, just buying a game online. Everybody's trying to push you over to subscription models, so it's like, oh, you just get all these games. Isn't that better than picking the ones you want? That's another reason I like PC gaming so much. Like, if I want to play something online, I can just play it online. I don't have to pay anything, because it was built into my PC. Oh god, I'm gonna have to eat some healing. I really don't have a ton of healing items, actually. I got a few strawberries. Took them so long to do it. What, Nintendo? Nintendo behind on online stuff? No. That doesn't sound like Nintendo. Alright, Wooden Golem, Manicore, Nightmare's fine. Coming soon, Nintendo will let you send messages to other people online. That'll be $40 a month. I think Gungnir might be better for Phase 1. Because it hits a bunch. I mean, Nintendo is absolutely behind in a lot of cases, like, back during the Wii when, you know, the competitors were the 360 and the PS3, Nintendo had like, oh, we have friend codes. And they're also just individual, there's no shared account, so you have to do this for every game. You want to organize anything, you gotta do that outside of the ecosystem, my friend. We will not let you do that. Yeah, they got Yaz. They got the Miiverse, which, of course, then they got rid of it. No, I as somebody who grew up on ICQ, I don't want to fucking deal with an ICQ code ever again, thank you. I'm good. Like, I'm aware of phone numbers, but it is easier to remember words than numbers. This is why we invented usernames, so you don't have to remember, my name is 357-552-56357. Actually, I have the Mana Prism, I can just pop that. Like, and this isn't just a thing of me being like, oh, I've never experienced, like, again, I grew up on ICQ, I know how that works. I have been on both sides of the equation, and I very much prefer the one where it's just, hey, I'd like to talk with my friend Jim. Type in Jim into the messenger program. Okay, I'm now speaking with Jim. Maybe Dark Jim, if Jim is already taken. As opposed to, okay, I want to play chess with Jim. I have to remember his chess code is 524375256, and then I want to play checkers with Jim, and his checkers code is 05218223757. Or I could just add Jim. I'll just add Jim. God, these timestamps, I think they were like less than 10 minutes apart for the finishing time on these. It's a little rough. Yeah, I think next time I run Rando, I'll probably just run with the old one, the command line one, because this randomizer really fucking hates giving me Black Panther. I'm not saying every single seed has to give me Black Panther as soon as I walk out the front door, but like, oof, I don't want to walk everywhere. I missed the bus. I'm gonna walk. Anyways, that has been 2 seeds of me grumping about new technology and old technology. Hope you all enjoyed. Yeah, Scurry the Kid, rest in power. Who's live right now? I gotta get back in the habit of raiding over to people. I keep forgetting to do that. Oh, cool, Rito's still going. I'm gonna raid you all over to Ryudo. Streamer Ryudo with 2 Ys. Playing some Breath of Fire 4. Still gotta check out the PS, like the PlayStation Breath of Fire games. I've heard they're pretty solid. I never got super into 2 and 1, but I've heard good things. I'm glad that Doc is still keeping the tradition of calling it Fart Fart West alive. Or Fart Fart Wet in this case. Anyways, have a good one, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. Go follow Rito. Go follow me if you're not already doing so. And I will see you all on Monday. Take it easy, gamers.